Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Police are investigating a strange situation last night. Sergeant Amy Race with the Unified Police Department says 6 to 8 masked individuals went into an unoccupied apartment complex in Mill Creek and pointed a gun at the security officer on duty.
Officers were out here for a significant period of time, unfortunately not able to locate the individuals. So we'll be contacting our detectives to work on this case and hopefully gather enough information to locate them.
No one was hurt, and anyone with information on the masked individuals is encouraged to contact police. We now know the name of a person killed in a wrong-way crash on I-80. Police tell us 72-year-old David Rick Gerard ended up driving southbound in the northbound lanes and hit 2 different vehicles. One of the other drivers is in the hospital. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Prince Harry is in court today, trying for one last time to get a more robust security detail for himself and his family.
Harry came here from the States to hear a final appeal in his legal challenge against the UK Home Office's decision to change his security status after he stopped being a working royal. Now, just today in court, Prince Harry's lawyers are arguing that the prince still faces significant security threats, including from Al-Qaeda, who they say has threatened his assassination.
ABC's Maggie Rulli reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow's up actually 1,000 points. That's 2.75% to 38,984. Coming up, we still got lots of slow spots on I-15 and I-80. Traffic and weather together coming up next. KSL News Time is 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Discover the timeless value at Duke's Jewelers, a local treasure since 1948. Whether you're searching for a unique engagement ring or need expert watch repair, Duke's has been serving the community for over 75 years. It's the perfect time to visit and explore the wide selection of custom designs and quality gemstones. The skilled designers at Duke's can bring your dream piece to life, while experienced jewelers handle repairs and modifications in-house. Duke's Jewelers takes pride in value pricing, ensuring you receive the best prices every day. Need an appraisal? The Duke's Jewelers AGS certified gemologist is here to help. Whether it's hand or machine engraving, or redesigning old favorites into something new. Get personalized service for every occasion. Visit Duke's Jewelers and experience the difference of locally operated expertise and dedication. Duke's Jewelers in Springfield, Utah.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-371-0505. 800-371-0505.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
Gillette Services is putting $1,000 in your pocket with a rebate on new installations. Call 385-GET-HEAT for a free estimate. Gillette Services. Comfort now, pay later.
Time for a check of traffic and weather together on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Heather Kelly.
We've got a crash southbound I-15 right at the top of the on-ramp from Riverdale Road to head southbound 15, and that is blocking both shoulders in the road construction zone. So that has traffic backed up all the way to the I-84 split, plus UHP did a slowdown in that area to remove debris. And then if you're southbound I-15 in Provo, we've got a crash right at University Avenue blocking 2 left lanes. That has traffic backed up to Center Street. Plus you still have delays trying to get out of Tooele County due to lane restrictions on I-80. Arctic Spas, hot tubs, and swim spas with stores in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Perimeter Heat, lock insulation with free heat. The only spa built for Utah's harsh climate. ArcticSpasUtah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today will be mostly cloudy with highs in the upper 60s. Tomorrow, much of the same. Right now, it is mostly cloudy and 54 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
I'm never buying another iPhone for as long as I live. This iPhone I have now, Dave, is going to have to last me for the next 50 years because I saw this headline this morning that iPhones could cost as much as $2,300 per with Trump's new tariffs. What do you think about that?
I would break up with a girlfriend easier than I break up with an iPhone. Right? I am committed. Like, you have me. You put a ring on it, and you've got me for the rest of my life. I am so integrated into iPhones. I've used them my entire life, and I just cannot go back. That being said, there is absolutely no way I'm paying $2,300 for an iPhone.
Not even you?
Man, there's no world that my wife would tackle me, and I'd say, you know what? I deserve to be tackled.
So these tariffs are coming, in from all the different countries, and a lot of different, countries contribute to the manufacturing of the iPhone. But I think we kind of mostly agree that most of it's done in China, right? Apple manufactures a lot of the iPhone in China. Let's get to the breakdown of like the parts and everything, and like where's all that stuff, like where the different countries are the tariffs are going to play into the expense of the iPhone. But let's just talk about this price point for a second, because I want to camp for a moment on this. Like, my price point was like $600 or $700. So when I look at a $2,300 potential this is for the best iPhone on the market, right? That this could
$600 or $700?
No, it's $2,300
right.
is what we're talking about. But mine is $600 or $700. I think those days are long gone. Like, I thought that was wildly expensive to begin with, but I think those days are long gone if these tariffs stick.
I have a lot more hope than you do. And you're also not alone, being the person that says, I'm not going to buy the iPhone with all the bells and whistles. The vast majority of iPhones that are purchased out there are the base model. It's the most popular one.
But wouldn't you agree that even the cheapest model that I lean into could go as high as $1,100, $1,200? So even the cheapest model could go up to be like way above my price point.
Yeah,
so
the
I
base
feel like
model,
I'm getting
right,
priced out of an iPhone once these tariffs kick in.
This is why I don't buy it. This is why I don't think that's going to happen, because number one, you can have a $2,300 iPhone and you can have a base model that is $1,200. Just because that's what you're trying to sell it for doesn't mean there's a market for that, right? I mean, you and I can agree. paying $1,200 for a base iPhone, right? I need all the bells and whistles if I'm going to pay that kind of premium. And this is the key. If they could have gotten away with a $2,300 iPhone, they would have done it. But Apple knows now. Already, yeah, sure.
Just on their own,
right?
Without these tariffs.
You can only charge what people will pay. And if they thought people could pay or would pay $2,300 for an iPhone, I have absolutely no doubt they would have been producing them with nicer cameras, better components. But there's not a market for a $2,300 iPhone. There just is not, because we will not pay that. We will stick around with an iPhone 8 if we have to.
I disagree with you. I disagree. And here's how they're going to get around that and convince you to buy the $2,300 iPhone. I mean, maybe they give you a little discount. Maybe it's a Black Friday special. But you are going to justify it by breaking it down into payments over 2 or 3 years. You know what they've done with cars? Like, it used to be the 5-year payment plan on a car, and now you can get a 6-year loan. And in some cases, you can get an 8-year loan. And my golly, if you buy a boat, you can get a 10-year loan on a boat. And that's how they get you convinced to buy that pricier $2,300 iPhone. Not saying that is exactly going to be what Apple will do. I mean, it could be that they absorb some of the costs of the tariffs and don't pass it on to the consumer. But let's just say, for argument's sake, it does end up being $2,300, and they break it down over a 2 or 3 year period, and it costs you like $40 a month to own that phone. Well, you're going to think that's a deal, Dave. You just are, and you're going to buy into it. So I disagree with you that the $2,300 iPhone, nobody's ever going to buy that. Nobody's ever going to buy that. They will buy it, Dave. They'll figure out a way to convince you that it's a good deal, and you'll buy into it.
They have the exact same program going right now, and it's $40 a month. That's what it costs to buy a new iPhone. This would make it cost $80 a month. And when you're buying multiple phones, oftentimes, especially as a family, you cannot just ignore that kind of doubling of cost, because that's just the cost of the phone. That doesn't even cost take into account this service as well. So at some point, they can push us and push us and push us, and eventually, if there were no other options, then maybe they'd get away with it. If they had a complete and total monopoly on phones, then perhaps. But guess what? I can get a flip phone for $45. I can move away from the iPhone. I can move away from the smartphone and just use my iPad and use my laptop and use Wi-Fi. I've done it. Right? I've done it before we had all the smartphones. We've lived this way. The lie that we cannot go back or we cannot change our behavior. Listen, I was so put out by paying $4 a gallon for gasoline. I bought an electric vehicle. I changed my habits, and I've loved it. So this belief that we are incapable of change, the way we do it is the way we're always going to do it, I don't buy.
801-575-TALK. Yeah, we're going to take your live calls on this one. I mean, who doesn't own an iPhone? Most of you probably do. I'm sure some of you own an Android and are like, yeah, you $2,300 iPhone users. That'll never happen to me. 801-575-TALK. Would you buy a $2,300 iPhone? Would you? Or you're like, absolutely not. I will stick with my dinosaur iPhone, Apple 5 or iPhone 5 or whatever it is for the rest of my ever-loving life. 801-575-TALK. $2,300 iPhone, is it your thing? Of course, with President Trump's tariffs, the one thing he's been saying, Dave, is he wants to bring manufacturing back to the United States. So I want to talk about that for just a moment. What if the iPhone were made in America? Where my mind goes is, first, how are you going to hire people to run the assembly lines in this country? Like, are there enough people who aspire to be an assembly line worker that you're going to be able to staff it with enough people to keep up with iPhone productions? That's the first thing. And also, what are you going to pay them per hour? What's their hourly wage going to be? Will that put the cost of an iPhone, let's say they do bring manufacturing totally back to the United States? Well, what I look at, I'm like, okay, how much is the iPhone going to cost me then? Will it be $3,500? It's kind of like I'm in this mode of watch what you wish for or watch what you think is going to happen, because you don't really know ultimately what the end price point is going to be. And in that case, I'm totally out. Like I probably won't own a phone at all anymore. Like I'll be like, phoneless, because I won't be able to justify the cost. $3,500 for an iPhone. That's hyperbole to some degree, but I don't think it's that far out there.
We have a little bit of an insight about what an all-American phone would look like. There's not a lot of companies out there, cell phone companies, manufacturers that build all-American phones. But there is a company, it's called Purism.
Okay.
And I looked at their website. Their phone is $2,000.
What?
All-American.
What kind is it?
The Purism Librem 5. $2,000. Right? That's what you have to take into account when you're saying we're going to return manufacturing to America. This is obviously when we have the laws and regulations and protections in place for U.S. workers, we have to take into account that. And
We've
your
talked
point
about
is
that before, too.
Absolutely, right? And this is with the assumption, not only can you find the workforce to manufacture all these phones, can you build the factory? And are you going to spend the billions of dollars to build the factory and the infrastructure before you even get to the worker assembly line?
801-575-TALK. Would you buy a $2,300 iPhone? Dave says there's no way. There's no way you're going to spend $2,300 on an iPhone. I say, yeah, you'd be convinced to, because they're going to divide up those payments over a 2 or 3 or 4 year plan. You're going to pay for that iPhone month after month at $20 or $30 a month. And that is how they're going to get you into that $2,300 iPhone. If those 43% tariffs, I think that's what we're at right now, right, Dave? 43% tariffs kick in and impact Apple the way it's being reported by a lot of different news sources. But let's break down the different parts, like not
the components.
The components. Like not all Apple is made of Apple. The iPhones are made in China. This chart, what is this? The Washington Post. This graph really breaks down.
Wall Street Journal.
Is it Wall Street Journal? Thanks, Dave. It comes from Taiwan, South Korea. The U.S. Makes the memory for iPhones. It's made here in the United States. And how these tariffs will affect the costs. So the pre-tariff total for the iPhone is about $550. That's Apple's cost, from my understanding. The new tariffs that President Trump announced on Liberation Day last week would add about $300 in costs. So you see right there on this graphic how this new tariff is going to impact the cost that it takes, what Apple pays to make the iPhone.
Yes, and they did a great job breaking this down. And if you just apply it across the board, hey, this is what the 43% or the 54% tariff's going to look like. Yeah, I see how you get to $2,300. But economists have a great phrase, and I love this. The solution for high prices is high prices. If they threw out that $2,300 iPhone, then if people were buying it left and right, I would be absolutely proven wrong. This is why I don't think that is what we would do, is because right now you have multiple models of the iPhone. You have the base model, the Pro model, the Max model, the Pro Base Max, the one with all the bells and whistles. By far the most popular iPhone is the base model, the cheapest version of it. So I think Americans, they want the iPhone, but they also are saying, I refuse to pay the premium price. And if you can't give me an option other than this premium price, then I will go elsewhere. Maybe as much as I don't want to break up with iPhone, I will go to a different carrier that offers me a better deal.
Or I'll stick with my iPhone forever.
Yeah. Oh, just like we do our cars. Yeah, just like we do our used cars.
I think we're getting better about sticking with our cars for a lot longer. I mean, there's been a lot of studies that have shown that Americans are driving their cars like almost until the wheels fall off. And partly that's because these things last longer than they ever have before. But I think we're going to start applying that same those same decisions to our iPhones. Like, I have walked around with this same iPhone forever and a day. Now, it bugs the daylights out of me because it doesn't work very fast. There's probably some components in it, like the camera's horrible and that kind of thing, but it still works.
Yeah.
I think we're going to justify that to save money, because we're, quite frankly, being priced out of something that back in the day, if you remember the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was like 10 or 15 or 20 bucks a month to have a wall phone in your house. And now we are so addicted to our smartphones, we have no issues paying. My plan right now is almost $100 a month for the convenience of keeping something in my hand at all times. Now, it does a lot more than an old rotary dial phone does, and I get that. But, I mean, we're already being priced out of cell phone use, and we have been for years. We've just bought into it. We like the idea of being able to carry our cell phones around in our back pockets. I mean, who among us hasn't had a moment every single day? Like, where is my cell phone? Did I leave it in the bathroom? Oh my gosh, I think I left it at the restaurant. Yeah. We're so addicted to it, we can't live without it. Caitlin Johnston, our producer, you've been looking into the price of flip phones lately. Is this an option for you if the iPhone gets way out of control? Because you're an iPhone, you're totally all in on iPhones and technology.
All in on smartphones, I would say. But yeah,
okay.
I have been looking to flip phones because I'm very curious about, mainly it's just for mental health reasons and disconnecting, but they're less, you can get them on Amazon for less than $100. I saw some about $150 too, but I was surprised when I saw that because I forgot how cheap phones were. And we're just paying for a computer to have in our pocket. So I think if you were to go that direction, you really have to think about what you're giving up. And some people may be fine. Other people, like myself, I'd be worried about getting lost. But that's just my
lost in what way?
The GPS. I rely on my phone for a GPS all the time. So I would have some nervousness about that. But we also have a calculator, the camera. You could just bring your own camera around. The calculator on your phone. I use it all the time.
Well, I know, you don't use but that is just not why I run to the Verizon store to buy my next iPhone.
These are things that have, that are embedded in these computers that we have that we kind of forget are there. So it's cost-wise, if my iPhone is going to $2,300 and this one's bugging out so much that I can't use it, I would go a different direction, and it would be fun to experiment, I guess.
And this is something we're seeing with the younger generation. I think sometimes we get stuck in our old ways, but Gen Z, younger millennials are absolutely doing this. We're seeing this market, the flip phone resurgence, and I think this speaks to it. Number one, not just for the mental health aspect, which is in part what you were looking at, Caitlin, but also financially. Are you going to bind yourself to a $2,300 or $80 a month phone payment, as well as a $60 plan payment with your car payment and your housing? At some point, you just have to say no to something. And I think people will start saying no if you price these iPhones too much.
And we've been talking about this in a vacuum, as it only affects us. If you have a family of 4 or 5, imagine that. Yeah. Who gets the iPhone, who doesn't, and how much does that cost you for everybody in the family? Like, what does that family plan start looking like? Is this as much as the house payment? Because if you're buying 5 new iPhones, and let's say you get a deal on them and they're even at $1,600. I mean, that's thousands and thousands of dollars you're just forking out for the phone itself. And then additionally, you have to tell your kids that you treat that like gold. I don't ever want to see that thing tumble out of your hands. The pressure to never break your iPhone. Remember that day I was standing in the newsroom and I was talking to somebody on my iPhone and it just slipped from my hands?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it hit carpet.
All the time.
It hit carpet, and it went blank. I just found that iPhone in a drawer in my home the other day, and it looks brand new. It literally was brand new. It will not flip on. It will not work. That phone was gone and out of my life within like 6 weeks of getting it. Can you imagine that? Like, you'd want the best replacement insurance on the planet for something like that.
I tell my kids this whenever we're talking about phones and buying a phone. I tell them, don't buy any phone that you cannot immediately afford to replace. And at $2,300, how much money do you have to make to be like, I can immediately replace that? it's not my kids, that's for sure.
Next, in March, just a few weeks ago, a Maryland father picked up his young son from grandma's house, and they were on their drive home after he got off work. Well, the dad was pulled over in a store parking lot, arrested by the United States government, boarded onto a flight to an El Salvador prison. And the government admits his deportation was an administrative error. So why is he still locked up in an El Salvador prison?
Jeff Kaplan.
When I was a kid, my parents got me a subscription to Newsweek magazine. I would devour every page into the night. And to this day, I sit on my iPad looking for stories for my Minute of News, flesh out our coverage, and I get to share the news with you.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
One of the best things about Mountain Home Services is they've joined forces with a great company, Master Electrical Service.
Yeah, and that means they can do a lot more for your home. So they not only work on their electrical, your electrical inside your home. Maybe you need new recessed lighting. Maybe you need a new light switch. They can also work on your HVAC, your heating and air and your plumbing.
Which is something they did for me and my family. They came out, they installed a furnace, and then they would do the service every couple of years. And it just hummed along beautifully. I never had any problems with it. So the expertise is absolutely there.
That's right. And they're willing to absolutely come out and give you a bid. And the great thing about their bids is there's the upfront pricing guarantee that Dave and I have been telling you about for so long. And that upfront pricing guarantee means that the price that they quote you when they come out to bid the job is the price you pay when the job is done.
How refreshing is that? Like no hidden fees, 100% satisfaction guarantee. Check them out. Just go to mountainhomeservices.com. That's mountainhomeservices.com.
Or here's their phone number, 801-543-2222. One more time, 801-543-2222.
I'm Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. Listen to what actual clients have had to say about working with us.
I'm Paul. I'm a contractor. I had a tax problem that was pretty significant. Needed some help with the IRS. I had prepared my taxes for a few years, but when I went to file them, I didn't have any money to pay those taxes. And so I just filed the returns in my drawer and went about my business. And about 3 years went by when I did that, and pretty soon I owed $102,000. And I met with Jordan, and we talked about the hole I dug myself into. And from start to finish, the process was encouraging, supportive, saved me about $80,000, $102,000 to $22,000. No complaints.
Hi, I'm Jordan Wilcox. You need a tax attorney that's not afraid to fight for you. Schedule your free consultation today. Visit endtaxworry.com.
The relief is immeasurable.
Don't wait. End your nightmare. Your relief starts at endtaxworry.com.
Do you hear buzzing or ringing in your ears? Tinnitus is real, but so are solutions. Dr. Lane Garrett, a tinnitus specialist and author of Take Your Life Back, invites you to a free tinnitus educational event where you'll learn about real treatments that actually work. This free event is Thursday, April 17th at 7 p.m. at the Hampton Inn in Orem. Here's Dr. Garrett.
At this event, I'll explain what causes tinnitus and when you should be concerned. I'll also talk about the latest research and separate facts from fiction. And finally, I'll talk about treatment options, including Lanier, which was recently approved by the FDA for the treatment of tinnitus.
And here's the best part. Everyone who attends gets a free copy of Dr. Garrett's book, Take Your Life Back. Plus, you can schedule a complimentary tinnitus consultation at one of 2 Utah clinics. Seats are very limited and they fill up fast, so don't wait. Visit whydomyearsring.com or call 801-770-4133 to RSVP for this April 17th event to learn more. Let's quiet the noise and bring back your peace. Visit whydomyearsring.com.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
With Progressive, renters can save on protection for the things that make your place yours, even things that don't make sense to everyone.
People always wonder why I don't get rid of my guitar since I never play. But it's like, what if I actually end up taking lessons? Sure, I've had it for 8 years, but if I get rid of it, then what will my New Year's resolution be next January?
Exactly. So bundle your renters and auto and save with Progressive and protect the things that make sense to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, we're getting an update on the conditions of 5 people taken to the hospital after their plane from St. George skidded off an Oregon runway yesterday. Hospital officials in Coos County say they all sustained minor injuries. 3 of them have been released from the hospital. Coos County Airport District spokesperson Stephanie Kilmer told local ABC station KEZI-9 that they are still trying to figure out what led up to this.
We do know that the pilot was able to take evasive action to avoid a critically important air navigational tool at the end of the runway.
We don't yet know where all the victims are from. The NTSB still needs to investigate. We're hoping to get an update from Oakley this morning after a worker was severely burned when there was an explosion in a newly constructed Summit County pump house. The worker is currently in the U of U Medical Center. Investigators say it will take a couple of days before they figure out what went wrong. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Stock markets have been bouncing back today after several days of sell-offs. Diane Swank, chief economist at KPMG, tells ABC News that traders are still uncertain about what will happen.
What we're seeing is the stock market look for any signs that this is a negotiating tool and not an end game when it comes to tariffs. What I think is important is there already are a lot of tariffs in the pipeline, and even if the president rolls back some of these tariffs, they're still going to be extremely high.
We'll be monitoring it throughout the day and provide updates up until the market closes. Speaking of that, your money at this moment, the Dow currently up 809 points. That's 2.13%. Coming up, we've got warm today and really warm later in the week. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Healthcare with human kindness is here. It's at Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Together, we have a common purpose, partnering with you in health and healing using powerful medicine, powerful technology, and the greatest power of all, human kindness. You'll know it when you see it, because human kindness is in every care site and in every caregiver. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
You know when you're racing into the store and someone interrupts you with a petition and you just sign it so you can move on? Stop. Don't sign it. Unions are trying to overturn a law that protects our kids. By signing, you're supporting handing over your tax dollars to big unions so they can push their radical agenda into classrooms. Stop the unions. Stand for kids. Tell your friends and family, decline to sign the union petition. Utah Parents United paid for this ad, not authorized by any political issues committee.
Time for a check of traffic and weather together on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, crews are still trying to clean up a crash southbound I-15 right at the top of the on-ramp from Riverdale Road. It is blocking both shoulders in the construction zone, so that has really gummed up the works. Traffic backed up to I-84. And then a crash southbound I-15 in Provo is in the final cleanup stages. Just have one car left over on the right shoulder in the Gore area at the exit of University Avenue in Provo. This traffic's still a little bit slow in that area. And there's a crash on the on-ramp from 7200 South in Midvale to head northbound I-15. That is also on the right shoulder. And if you see anything on the roadways, give us a text at Mountain Home Services text line 57500. Discover the value of Countertop Factory LLC, where high-quality, cost-effective laminate countertops transform commercial spaces. Visit countertopfactoryllc.com and get a quote within 24 hours. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today will be mostly cloudy with highs in the upper 60s. Tomorrow, more of the same. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 55 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Let's talk about this case that has captivated a lot of people across the nation. And it begins in March, Dave, when a Maryland dad, he gets off his job. He's an apprentice at a sheet metal manufacturing company. And he drives to pick up his son, 5 years old. I think his son's about 5 years old, at grandma's house. Son is autistic, nonverbal. His dad's, I think he's in his 30s. I've seen some reports that put him at 29, some at 38. But he's about 30 years old. So he goes to grandma's house to pick up his son and drive back home to where he lives, with his wife and other two kids in Maryland. And he's pulled over in a store parking lot by authorities, arrested by the United States government, manages to call his wife while he's detained. She comes to the parking lot. She says she's just given just a few moments to get over there and get their son. And son gives dad a hug while he's on the curb. Gets a call from his wife, gets to call his wife, says he's going to try to clear all of this up. Then he's put on a plane and deported to El Salvador, where he's now locked up in an El Salvadoran prison. Yet the government has said it made an administrative error arresting him and shipping him off to El Salvador. So the question is, why is he still locked up there?
And it's not just being deported from the country, it's ending up in quite possibly the most notorious prison in the Americas, perhaps in the civilized world. It's called the Center for Terrorism Confinement. And El Salvador was falling apart with gangs and crime, and the government basically built this facility and had this unbelievable crackdown. Our capacity at the Utah prison is about 3,600.
Okay.
Just to give people an idea, 3,600 beds. This prison in El Salvador has a 40,000 bed capacity. 40,000. They believe somewhere between 10 and 20,000 inmates are currently there right now.
Have you seen the photos for that prison?
Yes.
They look
It's concrete.
Yeah, and they all have shaved heads, and they all look like they're in one big cell together. That's at least the photographs that I'm looking at. Like, all these prisoners are just warehoused, like literally, like they're warehoused.
That's exactly
together.
what it is. The first thing they do, they shave the head. They give them essentially some rubber flip-flops, shorts, and a white T-shirt. Everyone's head is shaved, and it is across the board. The cells hold about 80 people. So these are very large cells. There are no sheets, no pillows, no mattresses. There are metal bunks, and they are there for 23 and a half hours a day.
So let's talk about the story of this dad who was arrested in a store parking lot, driving his young son home after a day of work. His name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. This arrest happens, and he's deported in March, along with hundreds of other alleged gang members that the administration has alleged are committing violent acts in the country. And we'll get to more on that in just a moment. But this goes down like on an afternoon, when he's just heading home. And Garcia has what's called protected legal status in the United States, and he's had this since 2019. Essentially, what this is a protective order that tells officials that they are not to deport this individual. He had fled El Salvador as a child. My understanding in reading numerous stories about this is that there are violent gangs in El Salvador, and his family owned a business, and they were confronting. These gangs were confronting his family and trying to get the children to join the gangs, and his parents were like, "Go, get out, go to America." So he comes here illegally, back when he's a child. Some reports I put, he's a teenager, mid-teens. And he eventually ends up getting protected legal status at this hearing in 2019. He marries a woman who's American. They have children together, and he's now a father of 3. And both he and his wife work full time. And the U.S. government, it seems to me, from what I've read, has repeatedly accused this Kilmar Garcia of being like an MS-13 gang member, and he's denied that. I mean, they've said something like he's a leader of some Long Island or Long Island branch of MS-13, and yet many media organizations have reported that the government has shown no actual proof of this or evidence of this in court, and he's denying it. He's like, I'm a dad, I work full time, I don't know what you're talking about. But this is the story of how the government ends up sending him to El Salvador and arresting him. Now, here's the aha moment for me. The U.S. government has admitted that they have made an administrative error in this case. But now they're saying, well, because he's in El Salvador, according to court filings, they're saying we can't get him back because he's in another country.
What do we do? I mean, we can't possibly force El Salvador to give up this person, except for the fact that the United States, when they've contracted, and that's exactly what they've done, they've contracted with El Salvador to send these people that have been deported, and many are supposed gang members, Tren de Aragua, MS-13, as you were saying. But the U.S. government is paying El Salvador $6 million for these 200-300 inmates that have been sent there. So we are paying them to house them in El Salvador. The idea that we can't say, hey, we made a mistake, we need this one back. We know who it is. We need this one back. And they're like, oh, we just don't know how to do that administratively. That's crazy.
Well, then Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem goes to this prison. She actually toured this prison recently and records a video in front of one of those cells with all of those inmates with shaved heads, and it's posted online.
Here at CCOT today and visiting this facility. And first of all, I want to thank El Salvador and their president for their partnership with the United States of America to bring our terrorists here and to incarcerate them and have consequences for the violence that they have perpetuated in our communities. I also want everybody to know, if you come to our country illegally, this is one of the consequences you could face. First of all, do not come to our country illegally. You will be removed and you will be prosecuted. But know that this facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use if you commit crimes against the American people.
Well, and this dad's attorney has said, look, they got the Homeland Security Secretary out of that prison after she went into that prison to tour the facility. Why can't they get my client out? Is that the argument they're using? They can get her out of it, okay, but they can't get my client out and get him back to the United States. And this whole thing has ended up in a major courtroom battle. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States. And last night, the Supreme Court issued at least an initial ruling on it. KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas will tell us what they said next.
My name is Mac Davis, and I have been on the SOTA weight loss program for 14 weeks now. I have dropped 38 pounds.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's been remarkably easy to follow the program. It's been amazing.
SOTA weight loss works.
Who would have thought that I would be able to lose over 100 pounds? I thought that there was no way that I could do that without having some kind of invasive surgery or diet pill or some other means.
Let SOTA Weight Loss teach you the healthy, natural way to let go of the weight for good.
The best decision I've made in a long time was just to call SOTA Weight Loss.
Join SOTA Weight Loss with your partner and only pay for one person. Lose weight together.
Double the motivation, double the results, half the cost. Take advantage of SOTA Weight Loss 2-for-1 partner program. Visit SOTAweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. SOTA is, say it with me, state of the art.
Every year, we seem to have a few people trying to get our free furnace promotion after the sale has ended.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I know you want to save as much money as you can, but that's not how sales work. When they're over, they're over. Lucky for you, we still have a few more spots on our schedule we need to fill, so I'm extending the sale, but I'm not quite sure for how much longer. Definitely no later than April 30th, and once I think our schedule's full enough, I gotta pull these ads, so don't wait too long to call and schedule your free estimate. Just to recap, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. So if your furnace and air conditioner are ready to be replaced, don't be one of those people that wishes they had called and taken advantage of our free furnace sale. The estimate's free, and we'll make sure you have all of the information you need to decide if our free furnace sale is right for you. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The story of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a young father of 3 kids, scooped up in a store parking lot as he's heading home with his 5-year-old son from work, and arrested by the U.S. government, boarded onto a plane, and then ends up in an El Salvador prison. And this case has captivated the country, and it has also gone all the way up to the United States Supreme Court with a 5 o'clock deadline tonight that we're going to talk to Greg Skordas, our legal analyst, about in just a moment.
And the claim is that he was some sort of member of MS-13. And many of the people that were deported, sent to this notorious prison, were gang members. Or this was the claim from the administration, that we were deporting a couple hundred, somewhere between 200 and 300 gang members. And they're being housed. The United States government is paying El Salvador $6 million to do so, which is only about $30,000 per person. So much cheaper than it is to imprison them here in the United States. So the president of El Salvador is absolutely on board with this because he says it's a win-win situation. We receive money. We take care of the folks that the United States wants to deport. This is a win-win situation. But we have not addressed what happens when we make a mistake. Do we quickly remedy it, or do we just double down?
And the government has admitted in court filings that there was an administrative error when they deported Garcia. In fact, one of the judges who has heard this case said this. As the defendants acknowledge, they have no legal authority, and she's talking about the U.S. government, to arrest him, no justification to detain him, and no grounds to send him to El Salvador, let alone deliver him into one of the most dangerous prisons in the Western Hemisphere. Let that sink in for just a moment. Our justice system, a judge has said that the U.S. government had no legal authority to arrest him, no justification to detain him, and no grounds to send him to El Salvador, let alone deliver him into one of the most dangerous prisons in the Western Hemisphere. And what she means, what that, comes on the heels of is that the government has provided no evidence that he is indeed some leader or some member who's committed, acts of violence of MS-13. There's been no evidence provided, at least to my understanding. Perhaps our legal analyst, Greg Skordas, will bring in more details on that.
And, Greg, are you with us right now?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for joining us, KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas. As we're looking at this case, and we've been following it closely, I know you have as well, walk us through why this hasn't been an easy fix of, oops, administrative error, we sent the wrong person, let's get him back.
Well, for one thing, if you send him to Rikers Island or some other federal penitentiary here in the United States, it's a fairly easy fix. But he's in El Salvador, and the United States, believe it or not, may very well have lost jurisdiction or at least the ability to bring him back. I mean, he's in another country's custody. He's in a prison. I know we're paying rent for that, but the El Salvadoran authorities have indicated whether overtly or not, that they don't really care what a federal judge in the United States thinks about the fact that the U.S. made a mistake. He's there and he's in their prison, and they'll do what they want. The government has admitted, Dave, that everything Debbie just read is true. That is, that he was arrested illegally, that he was detained illegally, and he was deported illegally, and he's in a foreign country's prison, probably illegally. And by illegally, what we mean is there was no trial, there was no due process, there was no hearing. And in fact, there's not even any evidence that he was a member of this MS-13 gang or that he committed a crime in the United States, both of which may have made him subject to deportation. There's no evidence of that at all. So we've got a real mess here. The problem is we don't know what the solution is.
Well, and additionally, back in 2019, a judge granted him protected legal status, meaning there was a protective order against this happening to him.
That's exactly right. And so what's the remedy there? I mean, even the government's lawyers, Debbie, have admitted this was a mistake. And I know Pam Bondi from the Justice Department has been critical of that the government shouldn't have conceded that. But they had no choice. They conceded that this was all an error. And the judge ordered that he be back tonight by, I think, midnight. The Supreme Court put a stay on that. But it's not a permanent stay. And they're asking that each side get documents filed really shortly, I think by Tuesday of next week, to say, look, let's revisit this and see what can be done. But even if the judge's order is put back in place and the Supreme Court says, okay, it's a legitimate order, like the Fourth Circuit did, I don't know that the El Salvadoran authorities are going to abide by it. How do they have any reason to follow the orders of a U.S. federal judge? I mean, they don't. She doesn't have any jurisdiction over them.
How horrible for his family and for, I mean, like literally, Greg, there's just no way out of this. And is he potentially stuck in that prison for the rest of his life, in your view?
Very potentially, unless El Salvador decides that they want to play nice, or they get enough pressure from the United States to say, okay, we'll give you your prisoner back. But they don't have any reason to do that yet, unless there's some political pressure put on them by the United States. I mean, he's in their custody, and we don't have the right to tell them how to feed him, how to clothe him, how to give him medical care, or when and how to release him. So I think that there may be something worked out eventually, Debbie, but right now it's a real mess, and he's being, by all accounts, illegally detained in what is, like you described, one of the worst prisons in the Western Hemisphere.
Greg, as we're talking about this due process, perhaps you can walk us through a little bit how due process changes if you are a legal citizen of the United States and if you are here illegally or if you've been deported.
Yeah, so due process at its core, Dave, and that's a great question, means notice of what you're facing and a hearing. And so what the immigration courts provide is a little bit different hearing depending on whether your status here is legal resident or whether you're here illegally. So that the standard is a little different. What you have to prove is a little different. And who has the burden of proof changes. But at its core, you still get a hearing. You still have a trial. It's really just almost like a trial, although there's not necessarily witnesses in the immigration naturalization court in front of a judge who decides whether or not the individual should and could legally be deported. And that's what didn't happen here. There was no hearing. There was no due process. That's what due process requires under the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution.
Greg, final question the minute we have left. I've been tracking interviews, stories with his wife is speaking out now, and she's an American citizen, and they're raising 3 kids here. She really didn't ultimately know what happened to him once he was detained and then deported and put on a plane and sent to El Salvador. According to the accounts I've read, she spots him in a photograph out of that prison with his head shaved, and she just happens to recognize some of his tattoos or some markings. Is that what happens in this country? We just don't know what happens to our loved ones when something like this happens, and it's up to them to sort of dig through photographs online or to figure out
it's an unfortunate part of federal detention, because if you give people notice, then they can disturb the federal authorities that have somebody in custody. So the feds are often very silent and circumspect about who they're taking into custody and what they're doing. The fact that he gets on an airplane and is flown to El Salvador is an entirely different problem. And at that point, there was no public safety concern, reason why they shouldn't have told her and advised her of what was going on. So, yeah, that's another part of this case that completely fell through the cracks.
Greg, thank you so much for joining us, our KSL legal analyst.
Straight ahead in the 10 o'clock hour, we're going to have a debate whether to rent or buy a home. I think you want to pay attention to this because we just found out that buying a home in Salt Lake City is significantly more expensive than renting. That's next.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. What is the #1 reason people buy a hot tub and then don't use it? The maintenance. Arctic Spas is relentless in making maintenance easy with our automatic saltwater system. We call it Spa Boy because it's like having someone else take care of your spa for you all the time. It uses salt water, which is the more natural way of treating water, making the water more comfortable. You get no smell, no red eyes or dry skin, just pure enjoyment. It's automatic because it has a sensor that reads the water and then automatically adjusts the sanitizer and the pH. You don't have to test and adjust the water yourself. You can even monitor everything from your Arctic Spa app on your phone. Now, get all the relaxing advantages of a hot tub without the not-so-relaxing maintenance. So for the most comfortable and convenient spa out there, check out Arctic Spas with stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George, or online at arcticspasutah.com. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Go from daydreamer to industry leader with Amazon Business. From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Let me tell you an amazing story. Last week, a customer came in. They were a creative director for an agency, and they were frustrated that their old, slow computer wasn't processing their files quick enough. He had a big project due and could not afford any delays. Well, we hooked him up with one of our new, powerful 2025 desktops for only $999, and he was able to complete his project with ease. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over 1 terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Over 3/4 of Americans suffer with foot pain every day. But Foot Solutions in Orem is here to give back your quality of life. Meet Patty.
I'm Patty from Saratoga Springs. I'm 74 years old. I just one day felt like I had a really bad stone bruise on the bottom of my foot, so I actually went to the doctor, and he goes, "You've got a severe case of plantar fasciitis." I'm really an active person. I work outside a lot in my yard. I like to kayak, and it was slowing me down from being able to launch my kayak. I could hardly get to the bathroom in the morning. The pain was so stabbing and bad.
What made the difference for Patty?
I discovered Foot Solutions in Orem. I was talking to a friend that I knew had plantar fasciitis, and she said, "Have you tried Foot Solutions?" I went there and got some great orthotics and some cute supportive shoes. Then in about a month, the pain was almost completely gone. Talk about relief.
You deserve a life free of foot pain. Just search for Foot Solutions in Orem and find out more at footsolutions.com.
You really ought to go there. It's a good place.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Temperatures will warm up this weekend with Salt Lake City possibly hitting 80 degrees on Friday. The Salt Lake City Fire Department is already getting ready for wildland fire season. Chief Carl Lieb says City Creek Canyon, North Cove Estates, and East Capitol Boulevard are some of the potential danger zones on the east side of the city. And there are other problem spots as well.
The west side, low to mid non-native grasses, scrub oak. I mean, this is bad fuel for wildland.
He says good staffing and public education can go a long way in preventing and controlling wildfires. We now know the name of a person killed in a wrong-way crash on I-80. Police tell us 72-year-old David Rick Gerard ended up driving the wrong way and hit two different vehicles. One of the other drivers is in the hospital. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Changes at the National Weather Service could impact severe weather warnings.
The National Weather Service stopped using humans to translate messages in 2023. It contracted with an artificial intelligence company that provided translations in Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, French, and Samoan. But that contract has lapsed, according to a National Weather Service spokesman who says the translations are paused. Experts say not only is this dangerous in severe weather situations, but could have a detrimental effect on everyday life for non-English speakers. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow continues to be in the positive today. It's up 933 points, which is almost 2.5% to 38,879. Coming up, the warm has begun. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Troy, I don't know if you know this, but we're a big deal.
Are we?
Oh, yeah.
Can you be a big deal and still live with your mom?
Who do you think told me? But honestly, who else but Bitches brings back show pricing on all RVs this far into spring just so everyone gets the best price possible?
That actually is a really big deal. No one does that.
See? We are a big deal.
The sale is a big deal.
The big deal is talking.
Get into Bish's RV for second chance show pricing for a limited time.
We're talking travel trailers starting under $129 per month on approved credit.
Clearance pricing on all remaining new in stock 2024s.
And enjoy 0 payments until July. OAC.
And here's the really big deal. Every RV purchase gets free propane refills for life as long as you own the RV.
Start shoving the best deals now at bitches.com.
Don't miss your very last chance at the best show pricing deals around. Only for a limited time at Bish's RV of Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin.
Based on approved credit, 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock numbers 89912-81734. Subject to prior sale. See delivery details.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Advanced Window Products offers grabber window covers. High-end quality with the best warranty. Save 30% off when you mention KSL. 801-850-9100 or advancedwindows.com.
Time for a check of traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the crash we had southbound I-15 at Riverdale Road just cleared a couple of minutes ago, so traffic is still a bit slow in that area, backed up to I-84, but it is starting to return to normal speeds as you come out of Ogden. And then we still have a crash at the on-ramp from 7200 south to go northbound I-15 in Midvale. That's over on the right shoulder, not causing slowdowns. But you still have delays on the 201 freeway eastbound trying to get to 7200 west in Magna. A lot of people are taking the 201 instead of I-80. All the delays have cleared out, though, on I-80 eastbound trying to get to 5600 west, but you still only have one lane available. Break your routine and into adventure in Cedar City, Bryan Head. Connected to nature, Cedar City makes spring the best break ever. Shopping, dining, and recreation galore. Break up your adventure. Visit cedarcity.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather says we'll be in the upper 60s today and tomorrow, but then the temperature cranks up. We could hit 80 by Friday. Right now, it's 57 degrees and partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Priced Out, housing, special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Hold on to your wallets. We're going to talk about the unaffordability factor when it comes to buying a home compared to renting. Dave caught this article in the Deseret News written by our colleague Lisa Riley Roche about the disparity and what it costs to rent compared to buying a home. And it's, I don't know, like you're going to want to run out and rent a home or rent an apartment after this discussion. Wow.
I had no idea.
Let's talk about the numbers.
Oh, Debbie, these numbers are absolutely incredible and unique to Utah. Like, there's some places around the country where it makes sense to buy versus rent, or maybe it's kind of equal. Here in Utah, it was staggering. It knocked me out of my seat. How much more affordable it is to rent than it is to buy.
Lisa refers to this as a buying premium. It is 112.8% more expensive to buy than rent in Salt Lake City. 112% more expensive to buy than rent in Salt Lake City. Okay, that is enough to. Oh, let me get my breath. Okay,
you're paying more than double, folks.
Mm-hmm. Then let's break it down. She breaks it down even further. The difference between a mortgage payment and a rent payment. Just the median monthly costs. Okay, mortgage payment runs you about, let's just call it $3,500 a month. Rent will run you the median price $1,600 a month. $3,500 a month compared to $1,600 a month to rent.
And the hidden costs that we're not even addressing when it comes to mortgages is how much it costs to run the home when your water heater goes out.
Oh, your operational expenses, yeah.
That doesn't even take into account that. So renting, when you look at it, sure, it might be $1,600, and you could say, I'm throwing my money away. I'm just giving it to the landlord. It's the worst ever, right? And you can complain about that. But when you have a leaky faucet or your air goes out or your water heater needs to be replaced, that falls on the landlord. So if it's twice as expensive to buy a home than it is to rent a home in Utah, and then that's not even taking into account all the other costs of running a home, the math is pretty simple. It's incredible. It's incredibly affordable to rent. And that makes me a little bit sick to say.
Well, but there's been the stigma with renting. Let's face it.
For sure.
Let's just call a spade a spade. There's a stigma with renting. If you're my age, in your 50s, you know what I'm talking about. It was expected that
we would follow the American dream, and that was, into home ownership, right? And if we're still renting by 30, must be financial problems. Maybe their credit score isn't good enough to be able to qualify for a home. Bet you they don't make enough money to save up for that down payment. It's that stigma. And that stigma, I think, has talked a lot of us out of this idea of renting. I mean, it's like, could I see myself renting again since I've been a homeowner since, my early 20s? I think I was 24 when I bought my first home. I think the stigma is it sticks. It sticks. It's like toilet paper on the bottom of my shoe. Like I
just can't get it off.
Yeah, but the idea of renting and saving that much money, and I like your point about operational expenses. I think when we, buy a home, we forget about, gosh, does it come with 2 air conditioning units? I had a home with 2 water heaters, and I don't know how many air conditioning units it had, but I knew if one blew, I was going to be in the financial toilet for a long time trying to figure out a way out of that because it's so expensive to replace these things. So I think there's a stigma with it that we just can't get over the idea that we're going to be lifetime renters. What do you think of that?
Well, in part, you can feel that way. And if you're a first-time home buyer and you don't have any equity, then you look at these numbers and you think that's a slam dunk. I'm just going to rent forever, right? But for sellers, if I'm looking at the value of my home and what I can sell it for, this is amazing news, right? The value of a home here in Utah is a premium, so we can celebrate that. And if I'm selling, and I can even sell it and then buy a new home and I have all this equity, where it really hits folks is when they're trying to get into that first home and start building up that equity, because when you're looking at double the cost of renting, the math just doesn't work very well.
Yeah. What would it take to get you to pick up your family and move across the country? Because when I look at this story in the Deseret News, you talk about Salt Lake City, the median home price is $550K, but across the United States, the median home price, it's going to be different in different markets, but across the United States, it's $355,000. It's $200,000 less in general.
Let that sink in.
Yeah.
Let that sink in, folks. On average, across the country, it's $200,000 less. I mean, that right there was so eye-popping for me. When you said here in Utah, the difference between rent and buying is 112%. It's more than double. Twice as expensive to buy. Well, nationally, it's about 20% difference. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit more expensive.
So it's way out of whack, for lack of a better word. I mean, that is a mathematical word, by the way.
It's
way out of
5
whack
times worse.
is a mathematical phrase. Yeah, it's 5 times worse here in Utah compared to other parts of the nation. And the article talks that we're going to get more into the details, like what you can expect from other major cities. But I want to take phone calls. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. How in the world do you continue to make financial sense of home ownership here in Utah? Why are you not loading up the U-Haul and driving it to a much less expensive city to buy a home in? I don't get it. Why are you here still? 801-575-TALK. What keeps you in Utah?
I feel a little guilty trying to convince people to move away because no, but you're right, and this is the point I'm going to make, because I think your point is spot on. Because when I moved from Kaysville to Syracuse, I lived in my home for 22 years. I had 22 years of equity built up. So when I bought my new home, financially, it changed our entire lives, Debbie. It changed it. We downsized a little bit, and it felt like for the first time in a long time, we were flush with cash. Like, what are we going to do with all this money? So if you do sell your home and you cash out on this equity and you go to another place around the country, it can radically change your financial life. Radically. I mean, completely and totally change your life. You may have not only pay for your new home in cash and not carry any mortgage, you may have tens of thousands of dollars remaining to put in savings or invest. That's what it looks like when you move from a home. You could have a very modest home. I'll be very transparent with my move. We sold our home for $515,000. It was built in 1978. This was not a new home. It was in an older neighborhood. I love the home. It's a great home, but it went for $515,000. My realtor told us you got to break it down by the square foot to make sure that you're priced appropriately. So we got $234 per square foot. Wait until I tell you what some homes are going across the nation per square foot. Remember, the standard for a 50-year-old home is $234 a square foot.
Hold that thought for just a minute. I want to get back to that because I want to compare prices in specific cities across the United States to find out how much cheaper it is per square foot, what the cost of the home is, and what you're getting for that. In just a second, we're taking your live calls. What is keeping you here in Utah? Like with homes so much cheaper, $200,000 median home price across the United States is $355,000. In Utah, it's $550,000. It's $200,000 less expensive across the United States. What's keeping you here? There's got to be something. Hi, Karen. What's keeping you in Salt Lake City?
Definitely the family and the mountains. Like, I grew up here, and I just would not take that price drop. I could go to Texas and get a house twice as big for less money, but you don't have any mountains, so that's what keeps me here. I love looking out my window.
Do you? Oh, is it? I was like, what do you hike these mountains? Or is it just like you love the view from your front window?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, we're hikers, mountain bikers as a family.
Right.
We live within 5 minutes. I can be up on a trail, and that's just our happy place. So can't put a price on happiness.
Oh yeah, and the outdoors. Thanks, Karen.
And
I
it's
appreciate
home.
it. Yeah.
Right? And it's home for me. I can look and logically do the math and figure out, oh boy, this would be an incredible move financially. But it is home. You do, whether it's family or the way you recreate, the way you want to leave or live, it absolutely makes sense. I see why people say, I don't care how miserable it is financially. This is home.
Hi, Tyler. You live in Lehigh. Are you ready to get out of the state?
Oh, absolutely.
Why?
I unfortunately can't yet. I just signed a 14-month lease because it wasn't the right time to move. But, I mean, with me working for the city and just the expense that the city has to live and work in, I have to hopefully relocate. And, I mean, we're looking to move to Wyoming. It's just the process of convincing the wife and the family. And as soon as hopefully in the 14 months we can do that, and we're looking to move.
A couple things I know about Wyoming. There's a lot of land, and there's a lot of wind. But you can probably buy a home for a lot cheaper than you can buy it here, Tyler. Let us know what happens with that decision, and good on you for looking for solutions that are, out of the box to put your family in a situation that's maybe more financially sound.
Amanda, North Salt Lake. What's going on with your fam?
We're staying here. My husband we were out in Colorado, and my husband's dream job is out here, so that's why we moved out. But we decided to build it back in 2013. So I think we just bought at the right time.
Yeah.
Because we got a 15-year mortgage, 2.5% interest rate flat. So, yeah.
Okay,
we just bought before all the companies came out, and that's what's keeping us here. Is they're already okay.
And you just made all of us jealous. Congratulations, because
2.5, Amanda. Holy
my
smokes.
math is right. That mortgage is
rate?
going to be paid off pretty quickly here. 801-575-TALK. What's keeping you in Utah? We're Dave and I talking about an article in the Deseret News that puts the buying premium in Utah compared to renting at 112%, which basically means it's more than double what you're going to pay in terms of a mortgage compared to the median rental price of $1,600 a month. But this isn't the case across the nation. Dave, you said it best right off the top of this discussion. Utah is unique. How unique?
So unique. The average in the country or nationwide is buying a home is going to cost you about 20% more. That's the math.
Than renting.
Your mortgage payment is going to be about 20% more than renting. But here in Utah, it's 113% more. It's more than double. You're paying for your rent or your mortgage than you are for rent. So nationally, we are skewed. Now there are places around the country, California specifically, Silicon Valley. No surprise that buying a home is 300%. It's three times what it is to rent. But San Jose, Santa Clara, those are over 200%. So there are places that are much worse than Utah. But there are places around the country where it actually is more affordable to buy a home than it is to rent.
So you're talking about Birmingham, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, and then you really pinpointed like Detroit, which I thought that was an odd choice for
Debbie.
you.
Detroit.
Tell me about what you found out about Detroit. And Dave was surfing the web on Detroit when we were talking about this story yesterday in our post-show meeting. He knew he wanted to talk about this today. And I could not get your eyes off of the computer because you kept surfing for homes in Detroit. So give us the scoop on that.
If you were to ask me, Dave, would you ever move to Detroit? Absolutely not. No way. I would never move to Detroit until you go onto Zillow and you look at these homes. You're like, Detroit's not so bad. I'm looking at these homes, and let me break it down for you. I'm looking at a home, 5 bedrooms, 5 bath, 4,300 square feet.
That's a lot of home.
$475,000.
What's the price per square foot on that?
$109 per square foot.
Compared to what you sold your home for in Kaysville at $515K, which was what was the price?
$234 per square foot. It's 130% more.
What does the home in Detroit look like, though, Dave?
Oh, Debbie, it is the cutest home you've ever seen in your life. 2-story, all brick. It has like this circular turret castle thing going on. It is this beautiful house. And I thought, oh, this is an anomaly. There's no other homes like this in Detroit until I found this bad boy. 4,000 square foot, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, $290,000. $290,000 for 4,000 square feet. That is $71 per square foot.
But I don't know if we could get you to move to Detroit. That would have to be a whole.
And this house is cute, too.
I know. They are cute. You're showing them to me. Let's get to line 2, Dawn. I want to talk to Kate. Lives in Bountiful. You're a real estate agent. What do you think about these high prices compared to other states? And what are you telling your younger buyers, Kate?
So I am not going to tell you who I work for. I'm going to get fired. But it is heartbreaking for me. Like, I have literally talked clients out who are in their 20s of buying a home because I cannot stomach telling them, hey, buy a home for $500,000 or $600,000 when that's the same thing my husband and I are paying in our mid-40s. And I know the house payment, and we're barely making it, and we're we're established, have a great job, and I just sit there and go, there's no way you can make this payment. And so I very often will talk to people about, have you seen Georgia? Have you done Alabama? Have you seen South Carolina? They're amazing. The people are amazing, just because it is hard here. But bottom line, people do not want to leave their family. I think there are generations and generations of people like me and my husband who grew up here, and I could not convince my husband to leave. I've tried many times, and I cannot convince him, and I love it. But the idea of paying off our home sounds amazing to me, but there's no way he would do it.
I did mention that to Dave yesterday. Kate, thanks a million for your phone call. What would that feel like if you could pay cash for a home in another state? Yeah, you move away from Utah. You love Utah, whether it's, you're Karen and you love the mountains, or you're, Amanda and her home is almost paid off, who just called the show. What does that, look like?
What's difficult about this, because I am Utah, right? My family's here. My extended family were close. I couldn't move out even if I wanted to. My family would lock me up. There's no way I could get out of here. And we just kind of assume that if I were to move to Detroit in one of these adorable houses built in the 1940s, these gorgeous, huge houses, the assumption is, am I going to be able to find a job? Am I going to enjoy this area? We just kind of assume, it'll all work out. Well, there's a reason why these are going for pennies on the dollar, comparatively speaking. Like, there's something wrong with it. I don't know what it is, because the house pictures are cute.
But if you didn't have a house payment, would you even need a job?
You're right. Where else do expenses come from? Oh, wait, that cell phone bill. We were just talking about that.
That's right. Straight ahead, there's a new report out that says half of parents are still financially supporting their adult children. So we're going to ask our very own Caitlin Johnston, our amazing producer, to join us for this next conversation. At what point does a 30-something-year-old allow her parents to cut her off financially? Let's get into that discussion next.
Hi, this is Doug Wright, and when I go shopping, I'll tell you, these prices are going crazy. And not only the prices, but the portions, the packages are smaller. One thing you can absolutely count on at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse is you always get more. You get more great service. That steak you've always counted on, it's still there, the same size on that sizzling 500-degree plate. When you order, of course, the seafood and the poultry dishes, what you've expected in the past, you get now. You can always count on that at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, where everything is prepared perfectly to your taste. You're going to love your experience at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. You just can't go wrong. Hotel Park City or downtown Salt Lake City. And with some of the special events now that are just around the corner, make sure you have your reservations all set and ready to go. You can count on Ruth's Chris, Hotel Park City, downtown Salt Lake City.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors to tell you about our 10-year everything guarantee. Most contractors spout off having great warranties that last forever. But those warranties are always, and I do mean always, riddled with loopholes, exception, fine print, and nonsense. At RGS Exteriors, we cover everything. Parts, labor, material, everything and anything for 10 full years. There's no cost to you whatsoever. No hoops to jump through, no exceptions. Yes, the products we sell, like James Hardy Siding, our windows, gutter covers, come with a 25 to 50-year manufacturer's warranty, just like everybody else. But the truth is, the products almost never fail. It's always the labor and material which is never covered, so you're stuck paying for service calls. For peace of mind, call RGS Exteriors. You'll sleep easy for 10 full years. 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110 or online rgsutah.com. Gutters, siding, windows, and all exteriors with the 10-year everything guarantee.
Hi, it's Julie from Logan. If there is sunshine in your soul today, it's because you know you're headed to Logan for a springtime getaway. Here's what you should do. Reserve your hotel room right now. Don't miss the original Baby Animal Days Festival at the American West Heritage Center April 10th through the 12th, including exotic animals and living history. Then it's farm animals only every Saturday in April and the first Saturday of May.
cuddle all the baby animals like lambs, goats, piglets, bunnies, and chicks. You can say you're doing it for the kids and grandkids, but we won't tell if it's really just for you. Total cuteness overload. Next, head to the Cache Valley Fun Park for laser tag, roller skating, bowling, and arcade games. Take your family to Angie's for the kitchen sink, a mountainous banana split on steroids served in an actual sink. Pick up a life supply of goldfish crackers at the Pepperidge Farm Factory, or see them hand-dipping chocolates at the Bluebird Candy Company. Head to Logan to cure your spring fever. ExploreLogan.com. ExploreLogan.com.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. Don't miss Cold's new Season 3, where I look into the unsolved disappearance of Cherie Warren, a woman last seen leaving her job at a Salt Lake City office in 1985. Police cast suspicion on Cherie's estranged husband and boyfriend, but never made any arrests or recovered Cherie's remains. Find Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, anywhere you get your podcasts.
10 o'clock, 10:30, KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Breaking news, the Supreme Court is blocking a judge's order for President Trump's administration to rehire thousands of fired federal employees. The decision means employees from 6 federal agencies will remain on administrative leave for now. We're still learning more about the decision, and we'll provide updates throughout the day. A young Draper woman is warning drivers to be careful after she says a man set a trap trying to slow her car down. The 20-year-old was driving home from a friend's house late at night last month when she tells KSL TV she saw several trash cans laid down in the road. She slowed down to avoid them, then noticed a man standing in the road holding an object.
I almost thought he was going to shoot me, so I ducked, gunned it all at the same time. He came, he swung at my car, I swerved, and then somehow just called 911.
Police responded and detained a man they think may be responsible. Officers urge all of us to report anything out of the ordinary. Heads up for Weber County drivers. UDOT will be alternating one-way traffic through Ogden Canyon until 2 this afternoon. Crews in the area will be doing shoulder repair work. UDOT says anyone planning to travel in the area should plan for more time or take an alternate route. Our top story from this hour from ABC News. The majority of President Trump's global tariffs are set to take effect tomorrow, and several countries say they want to make a deal.
South Korea, Japan, and Vietnam are sending trade representatives to start those conversations with Secretary Besson and the U.S. trade rep. Now, the key question, though, is what are they looking to negotiate from the Trump administration side? The president was very clear yesterday. He is not putting a pause on these tariffs.
ABC's Karen Travers reporting from the White House. Your money at this moment, the Dow is still in the positive this morning, although not as big of a positive as it was earlier. It is up 646 points since the opening bell. That's 1.7%. Coming up, warm spring days ahead. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
One of the great things about Connecticut water softeners is I don't have to think about them. I never have to think about them. They work 24/7, and a lot of these water softeners that are out there are, quite frankly, they're inefficient. Connecticut water softeners use 2/3 less salt than most other water softeners, and the way that happens, and I can walk you through that. Well, here's part one of the series. Most water softeners use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer, and it guesstimates when to cycle, and then it errs on cycling too often, and it just burns through way too much salt way too soon. But with Connecticut, it's an all-mechanical system. It measures that water precisely so it cycles only when it is needed. That's how you get that 24/7 soft water. You never run out, and it uses minimal salt. So the best of both worlds. If you're interested, go ahead and save your back. Instead of carrying 3 bags of salt, you just need 1. Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, right now at 801-576-8600. That's 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Time for a check of traffic and weather together on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Heather Kelly.
We don't have too many delays right now across the Wasatch Front, especially if you're on I-15 throughout Utah, Salt Lake, Davis, and Weber counties. All the earlier crashes we have cleared. Oh, you may still have a little bit of slowing on the 201 freeway and I-80 eastbound going through Magna around 7200 West. Right now, it's all traveling at speed, but we're down to one lane eastbound I-80 approaching 5600 West, and when you get enough traffic, that definitely slows people down. If you see something on the roadway we haven't mentioned, give us a mention from the Mountain Home Services text line at 57500. Create your floral sanctuary with Olson's Greenhouse, locally grown premium quality flowers to complement porches, patios, containers. Don't miss Olson's Container Fest Saturday, April 26th at all Home Depots. Details at ogg.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, KSL weather will be up in the upper 60s both today and tomorrow. Then we jump about 10 degrees, and it'll be near the 80-degree mark for a couple of days. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and it was 57 degrees. Now it's 61 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Hey, parents, this is where you're going to air your grievances. Get ready to call in the next 10 minutes. We're here for you. With this new report that came out from NBC News, we wanted to talk about how much parents are paying for their kids, for their adult children. To survive financially every single month. And it's darn near $1,500 a month on average.
Holy smokes. Parents, what is going on here? Now, what does that include? 18 and over, you're paying $1,500 a month?
Yeah, I mean, it includes everything from food, cell phone plans, health insurance. All right, I don't know that really counts because you can stay on your parents' health insurance until you're 26 now. And I think that was a change that was made years ago. And so does that really count? Because the family plan
you still have
is the
to pay
family
for it,
plan.
though.
Yeah, well,
yeah, the
I
family
guess.
plan.
Well, yeah, but even if you have like one kid left, why not have all the kids like at home? Why not have all the kids on the plan? Because I don't think that changes. Maybe it does change for some. Okay, auto insurance. And rental assistance. That's what parents are forking out, according to the story that we're talking about, which was at NBCnews.com. And ironically, neither Dave or not I spotted this story. It was our 30-something producer, Caitlin, who spotted this story. And I think we're going to have confessions of a producer in just a moment.
The biggest number for me as a parent, because I look at it very much through my, parents' eyes, is 60% of parents are risking their own financial security to help their children right now. They're sacrificing their retirement.
Yeah.
They're dipping into savings.
But we would also risk our lives to save our children. I mean, that's how parents are, right? I mean, if you're a parent who loves unconditionally and wholeheartedly, you would throw yourself in front of your child at any risk to your own self. So the idea that we're risking our financial future doesn't really land for me because I think, that's what we do as parents. We are generous with our children. And at least that's how I look at it. Maybe you see it from a different lens, Dave.
The danger, because I'll be very honest, I do not help my kids out at all. And it's a conscientious effort. I mean, it was a decision. I told them early on, you guys, when you move out, you've got to learn how to live on your own. So I'm not going to pay for your schooling. I'm not going to pay for your cell phone, your insurance, any of that.
So no food?
No food.
Really?
No.
Don't ever have them over for dinner?
Oh,
like that?
Yeah. I mean, if we go out for if we go out to a movie,
we changed the locks
yeah.
too, by the way,
by the
and
way,
we moved to Detroit.
No. I look at when we're looking at this article. This sounds like it is continued support. It's expected support. It's one thing if you treat your kids to a meal or you take them out to a movie or an activity like that or on a family vacation. But when you're talking about rental assistance and picking up their cell phone or paying for a car, giving them a car, whatever it might be,
So do you uncouple them from your plan, your cell phone plan?
No, they get to stay on the plan because but they pay their portion of it.
Oh, okay. So they just Venmo you the money.
Yep.
And what happens if they don't? Do you send a bill collector?
Wait.
How does that go down?
We're leg breakers in this family. I take a bat, we show up, knock on their door, like, give me the money, kid.
How does that work, though? I wonder. Like, does that become uncomfortable?
Never had a problem with it.
Oh, they Venmo you on time. That's awesome.
they're because again, we could very easily just remove them. It's like, hey guys, I think it would probably be best if you guys carried your own plan, so they understand that this is a win-win situation. This is not just because I'm cheap and that I'm concerned about my future. Quite, though
Thanks for
it
addressing
really
the
sounds
elephant in
like
the room.
It totally sounds
I
like
mean,
that.
I didn't want to say that out loud because I was
Is
afraid.
this so you and Shark can have Diet Cokes every single day?
Like-
Yes. Because between my Diet Coke and you eating, Diet Coke wins.
Do you know what, though, when somebody's like, it's not because I'm cheap, it usually means because they're
you're
cheap.
Yeah. Or it's because I can't financially do it, quite frankly. And I look at $1,500 a month. I mean, that would be my second biggest bill outside of my mortgage. It would be like mortgage, child. And then what do I do? Because I have 4 children. Do I spread that out to the 3?
You do what I do. You pick a favorite.
You pick your favorite. You take care of.
And you Venmo them the money every single
Don't
month.
let
Come
anyone
on,
know.
Don't let anybody know. You're my favorite. Caitlin Johnston, our producer, in for Confessions of a radio talk show host producer. Come on, tell us. Your parents still support you?
I might be the favorite out of the 3 kids. Now that you're saying that, I don't know. I'm not sure what they contribute to the others. I also want to say I don't want to come off as like a spoiled brat because I do consider myself.
Well, you know what that means when somebody confesses that they don't want to come off as a spoiled brat. It usually means.
Hey, listen, if I'm cheap, you're going to be a spoiled brat in this conversation.
I am financially independent. I pay for my essentials, and my parents don't contribute a lot, but I also struggle and I need help. But it is comparable to what Dave does with his kids, but I have leniency. Like, they're not going to cut me off of the plan. So the 2 things that my parents pay for still is my phone plan and my auto insurance. But I also, when I'm in a good spot, pay them for it, but it's not consistent because I haven't been in a good spot.
When's the last time you've been in that quote-unquote good spot?
Since like October, but we kind of worked out a deal as the reasons that why I wasn't paying that, but it's been about since October since I have not sent monies. And I have been sent money from my parents. They're also willing to help me with the down payment on a car, which was a surprise. I wasn't expecting that because
that's awesome.
I'm going through a lot of like life transitions with needing a new car and things like that. So I haven't seen that money yet, but they have
You're
promised
gonna go knock on their door and tell them to pay up.
But yeah, I don't. So that's really all that is. $1,500 a month. That is not what's happening in my life. That would be amazing. That's my
Just
rent.
a couple hundred
so,
a month.
Yeah, it's not that drastic, but it helps a lot to not have to send that money every time, I'm budgeting, just to have that little bit of slack to help me with my debt, put it into savings, because that's really where we struggle is we're putting so much money into rent and all this stuff we have a hard time saving. So they're willing to help me with a little bit here and there. And then when I do know how to guilt trip a little, like I'm tired.
Make you cry.
I'm hungry.
I heard you on
I just say I'm
I heard
tired,
you on the phone
Mom.
the other day with your mom.
Yeah. And then
I was like,
I
that's
went to
not the
dinner with
Caitlin
my
I
mom.
know.
I went to dinner with my mom that night and she paid for it. Every time I go to dinner, she
love
pays.
your mom.
I don't ask
Yeah.
for that, but I expect it. I don't know. I'm very grateful at the same time. But yeah, so I think there's a balance. I'm not mooching, but I'm trying to justify
Every
this, but
time
it's not
we
like
say what we aren't, what means we are. So
well, maybe I'm mooching a little, but it's not $1,500 a month.
Yeah,
it's not that crazy.
Yeah.
I look at this and I think it's a good conversation because when we can make sacrifices, should we make sacrifices, right? If I financially can do this, then should I? And I think the way I justify it in my brain, the way parenting in Dave Noriega's head goes, is I don't want to give my kids, an unrealistic expectation of what life costs. Because it's not always going to be the case that I'm going to be able to support you financially. And I want you to know that, holy cow, cell phone plans are expensive and car rates are expensive and a down payment for a used car even is expensive. So you have to prepare for this. You have to save up. You have to say no to yourself in a lot of ways that I do not as an adult. You might not get all the the Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus plans, or you may not be able to eat out, and you have to eat the ramen. These are life skills I think they need to learn at a young age, because when you start adding in a spouse and you start adding in children, those financial things aren't just going to disappear, right? It's going to be, you're going to have to learn the fundamentals of saving. And I'm concerned that if I were to subsidize their lifestyle, they wouldn't realize how expensive life is.
So let's take calls. I mean, maybe there's a lot of parents listening right now, Dave, who buy into the Dave Noriega parenting plan when it comes to cutting off their kids financially. I mean, you did do a really good job, I will say, of justifying why. I think all of those are really valid points you make. But I don't have it in me to cut off my kids financially. Period. The end. They know the Bank of Debbie will be open until I, move up.
Until you have no money.
Until I'm running the bank upstairs. So, yeah. Could you cut off your kids financially like Dave's done? Or have you? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and there's a good chance you've heard me talking about our free furnace sale. The one where you buy a new air conditioner and we give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it, about $400. Well, we still have a few more spots on our schedule we need to fill, so I'm extending the sale, but I'm not quite sure for how much longer. Definitely no later than April 30th, and once I think our schedule's full enough, I gotta pull these ads, so don't wait too long to call and schedule your free estimate. The main reason we do this sale is to give you an incentive to help us keep our guys busy when the weather's mild. And thanks to your help, we're able to keep our guys and keep growing. So if your furnace and air conditioner are ready to be replaced, you owe it to yourself to at least schedule a free estimate and get all the details about our free furnace sale. Just to recap, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Join KSL and the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1 at the Layton NPS store at 1150 North Main Street in Layton. NPSstore.com.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Dave, and Dujanovic.
Do you still financially support your adult children? Mom and dad? Because if you do, you're not alone. A lot of American parents say, yeah. And on average, it's costing them $1,500 a month on average. Now, that means some parents could be giving their kids a couple $100 a month. Like Caitlin Johnston, our producer, just came in and said, it's car insurance they pay for. It's a phone bill that they pay for. And then as she ran out of here, she's like, oh, I forgot to add they also pay for my streaming services. Oh, yeah.
I will never pay for streaming services,
she said. As she ran into the control room to take your live calls. 801-575-TALK. Do you adhere to the Dave Noriega School of Parenting when it comes to finances, which is?
You're on your own, kid. I love you. Me giving you money cannot be, the litmus test of how much I love you. So we're taking your phone calls, 801-575-TALK. Mom joins us. Not my mom, but a mom. I get it.
Mom.
You don't want your kids to know it's you. That's fine. So we're going to say, we're not even going to say where you're from. More or less, Smouthmorden. What do you got? What do you got for us, Mom?
Okay, this is a wise mom, not as a wise, but a wise mom.
Okay.
Between my husband and myself, we have 7 parents. That means step parents, all of that, foster parents. We got absolutely zero from any of them, except once my father-in-law gave me $50 to go buy a picnic table. When I was dropping him off at the airport, I ran over semi-truck road tire debris that cost me $50 to repair. So
oh no,
we got nothing. They didn't help us with college. They didn't do phone plans, insurance. We did it on our own, and that's the way that we're doing it with our kids.
Yeah.
We didn't help with college. They were resourceful. They worked, and it gives you a great sense of accomplishment and to do it on your own and not depend on anybody else.
Thanks, Mom. Val, you live out in Tooele. Are you on Team Dave with this? Like, totally cut your
Absolutely.
kids off? How so? How'd you do it?
Well, we actually started when they were very young. We would give them an allowance for the jobs that they did, but the allowance was so that they could afford things that they wanted. We would provide for the basic needs, but at 8, they started paying 25% of whatever they wanted. At 10, it was 50, and by 12, it was 100% of anything they wanted. And then I agree with the last caller. We did not pay for college. We did support their cell phone plans because we felt like that was a need, especially in this world today, until they went to college, and then they're on their own. And so, I've had kids, my 2 daughters that have put themselves through college and finished. We have 6 kids. Told me that they're so glad. Their roommates didn't appreciate it. A lot of them just partied and wasted their parents' money, but my kids got jobs and worked, and yes, they are so glad that they had to pay for it themselves.
Thanks, Val.
Val, thank you so much. I did see a recent article that was talking about parents that pay for their kids' education. If they pay for their kids' education, there's a couple things here. Number one, it's more likely that the kids graduate, but it's also more likely that the kids get lower grades. So there is a little bit of this give and take. Maybe they don't take it as seriously. Maybe they party it up a little bit more when mom and dad are footing the bill.
Hi, Jared.
Hey.
Do you
Dave, you might
subscribe?
have stole my thunder.
Okay.
You're a Dave subscriber.
Sorry.
What do you say about it, Jared?
Well, my kids are pretty young, so I wanted to kind of talk about like saving for college. And that was interesting what you said, Dave, because my wife really wants to put money aside for our kids' college. Her dad actually used her fund right before she went to school, so she's got a vendetta against that. But my parents didn't pay for college, but I felt like I had to work hard in high school to get good grades, to get scholarships, right? And I had a little bit of student debt, but tuition here in Utah isn't too bad compared to California. I was just wondering, do you think that it's wise to save for your kids' college, or just say, hey, you should get good grades, get a scholarship?
Yeah. Dave
do
didn't.
it yourself.
Dave didn't, right? I don't want to
Yeah.
speak for you. He
No.
didn't. I did. So we come from opposite ends of this. Jared, let me just tell you what we did. We put away $100 a month per child. We had 3 children. Once we brought the third into the world, obviously $300 a month, and we did that for years and years and years. And here's the upside to that: my kids had a college fund to start college with. Okay, the downside to it was it did not end up covering much of college at all. So you really have to start doing those online calculators to figure out, what makes sense. And you're trying to predict what tuition costs are going to be when they turn 18, 17 years old, 18 years old. However, I will say this also created an environment when we weren't these funds were not flush with cash, okay? But there was enough money to really get them through a semester, or at least probably 2 semesters. But my kids still got scholarships. 2 of them still got scholarships. And the one who chose not to go the athletic route for scholarships found ways to make college more affordable for her. And then in the end, we ended up paying a little bit at the end because it just didn't quite cover it all. But when you teach your kids, to me, when we taught our kids to find creative ways to fund their college experience, they did that. And I was still glad, and I am still grateful, and I would do it all over again. I'm happy to have saved $300 a month for my kids' college. The other thing I look at is, what else are you going to spend that money on? Right? If you're going to be great and squirrel it away in retirement, or if you're going to go out to dinner and blow it on lunches and coffee runs and ice cream runs and everything, I would rather give my kids I think it's about $20,000, $25,000 each, kind of depending on what stage they were at in a college fund, than say, well, you know what, we went to Disneyland three times or whatever, and we had big jump houses in the backyard 3 times a year, with that money.
And we do know that when there is some sort of a college fund, that the chances your kids will go into college on some level, it does cross a barrier. It helps get kids, even for that first semester, into college when there is some sort of a fund. And it doesn't have to be the $25,000. It can be a few $1,000s, and that will help get them into college. I will say this, though. My final thought is I want my kids to feel a little panic. I don't think that's a bad thing when they are living on their own and they're like, how am I going to pay for this? Well, you might need a better job. You might need to work more. You may have to go to bed early and not stay up with your roommates because you have a job early in the morning. And I think those are some incredibly valuable lessons.
Or move to Detroit.
Detroit's the key. That's the solution.
The Detroit is going to be the theme for the rest of the show. We talked about housing prices being so much cheaper there, Dave. I don't know. Yeah, you could suggest that. You found some cute little homes in Detroit.
911, what's your emergency? They kidnapped my son.
What would you do if your child disappeared and someone you trusted was responsible?
We thought he cared for McKay, when in fact he didn't care for anyone.
Listen to Ransom now at ransompodcast.com.
One of the best things about Advanced Garage Door is now I have a garage door guy. I haven't had a garage door guy ever. If the spring broke, which it did, and I'm Googling, and I got my sister over, we're trying to replace this spring in our garage. That was a disaster. I mean, it's one of those things where it's a safety issue. You want to have professionals like Advanced Garage Door step in and take care of you.
And I want to tell you about this lifetime warranty that they offer, because I think that's really important in your decision when you're calling your new garage door guy. So their lifetime warranty includes labor, as long as you follow their recommendations. And then additionally, they've got these KSL listener specials going on. So there's a free garage door opener when you purchase a garage door. You can get a free garage door inspection with no obligation as well, and $100 off any parts needed for repair.
Yeah, check them out. Advanced-door.com is the website, advanced-door.com.
Or they'd love to hear from you, so you can give them a call, 801-989-3667. Once again, that phone number, 801-989-DOOR.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Take advantage of Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric's $99 or it's free mainline drain clearing special. That's right, $99 or it's free. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Yes guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Yes are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
Jeff Kaplan. When you're online, that's sometimes a source of fourth-hand information. Somebody does the reporting. Another website Googles, they find it, they rewrite it, and by the time you read it, you know the old game telephone. But KSL is a source of primary information. We have reporters on the street. They're out in the field finding out the details. And the difference between online and KSL News Radio, night and day.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jessica Lowell. These are KSL's top story this hour. The Salt Lake Bees are playing their first home game of the season tonight in a new stadium and in a new city. As for the old home of the Bees, the Ballpark neighborhood is expecting a quiet night. Ballpark Community Chair Councilwoman Amy Hawkins says it'll be an adjustment.
Every game feels like a celebration, especially when it's, the beautiful weather that we've been having. So we'll miss that for sure.
Hawkins hopes to hear something about an immediate action plan for Smith's Ballpark before the construction actually starts in 2026. Our top national story this hour, the back and forth over the federal workers who were laid off is over. The Supreme Court says the Trump administration won't have to rehire them.
The judges basically at the lower court never questioned the government's power to fire these workers. It was just how it was done. But the Supreme Court today said actually these labor unions don't have standing to even take on that challenge. They said that these groups had not shown enough evidence that they are directly harmed to be able to bring this case. And so for now, even as the litigation moves forward, these workers will be off the job effective immediately going forward.
ABC's Devin Dwyer reporting 16,000 probationary federal workers were laid off across 6 agencies and departments. Your money at this moment, stocks rebounding today as potential trade war dissipates. Dow up 337 points, NASDAQ up 33. Coming up, our spring fling continues. KSL Weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Way back in 1989, I started servicing hot tubs in Park City, and I learned the hard way in the freezing winter in the mountains that hot tubs are not built for Utah's harsh climate. I then found the Arctic Spa, the most northern manufacturer of hot tubs built specifically for the northern climates. Arctic Spas use perimeter insulation similar to your house where the outside walls are insulated. This allows us to utilize the excess heat from the motors to help heat the water and reduce your electric cost each month. Since then, we have sold 10,000 Arctic Spas here in Utah. We've learned that Arctic Spas last longer because they are built stronger. You can just feel the difference. Arctic Spas are easier to fix because we put access panels all the way around the spa, which makes it less expensive for you. Add this to the lower electric bills each month, and you end up with the least expensive hot tub to own over the long term. Arctic Spas, with stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George, or online at arcticspasutah.com. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Jazz games are better together. Host an unforgettable night at Delta Center with colleagues, friends, families, whoever. Group tickets are the best way to get everyone together to cheer on the Jazz. Pick from a variety of options for seating, dining, and game day experiences. Start planning your big night at the game by calling 801-355-DUNK, emailing group sales at utahjazz.com, or simply visiting utahjazz.com.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then, they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Progressive knows when you're in your RV, you're already on vacation. That's when you become Vacation You, who just camped where there's absolutely no shade. Even though regular you burns easily. In fact, Vacation You burns too, but is too stubborn to admit it, which is why regular you gets in trouble at the dermatologist, because Vacation You doesn't do doctors. So bundle your RV with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Right now, water heaters are on sale at Any Hour Services. Schedule a free estimate today to see how much you'll save. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Heather Kelly.
We are finally accident-free and delay-free all across the Wasatch Front. No problems right now coming out of Tooele County on I-80, where we're down to 1 lane, both eastbound and westbound, between 56 and 7200 South. That is going to slow everybody down trying to get back into Tooele County later this afternoon. But right now you've got good speeds on I-15, the east and west side belt routes, and I-80 through Parley's Canyon. Murdoch Chevrolet, home of 2.9% for 6 years on Silverado 1500. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
A little cooler today after a small cold front moved in. We'll see the thermometer continue to tick up throughout the week. Highs in the 70s and 80s by the weekend. Right now it's 62 degrees and sunny. I'm Jessica Lowell from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Well, after reading this story about the potential for iPhones to go to $2,300 each with President Trump's new tariffs, I'm like, I will take the iPhone that I have with me right now right to the grave one day.
I kind of did this a little bit with my last iPhone. I had it for 5 years. And anyone that's ever owned an iPhone knows that 5-year iPhones, that's stretching the life of these iPhones. Mm-hmm. But I replaced the battery. I just kind of grinded it out. I'm like, yeah, it's not quite as snappy. The camera's not as good. But I just lived with it, and it was fine. It was nice to get the upgrade, but I can't tell you, if I'm holding the two phones, the one that was 5 years old and the one that's brand new, that it is a life-changing experience. It really isn't. It just works a little bit better.
Remind me, how much did you pay for the new one that you just got?
I got a company discount, so it's not really a fair comparison. It would have been $1,100.
So if there's a 43% increase with these new tariffs, that would run you at $1,600?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm not buying that. Yeah, there's no chance. I wasn't going to pay the $1,100. It wasn't until I got a big discount because, big company, we get discounts. That's the only thing that allowed me to get a new phone. Otherwise, I would have bought a 2 or 3 or 4-year-old phone as an upgrade instead of the 5 or 6-year-old phone that I currently had, because I'm not going to pay a premium. That was absolutely the most I would pay.
But you're not paying a premium. It's a tariff. A premium would be like, oh, there's some additional feature on this thing that makes this amazing. What this is just like, it's a tariff.
The only thing I care about is price.
So then if the iPhone 16 Pro Max, according to this article that I'm reading in Reuters right now, goes from $1,600, which is the current price, to $2,300. What do you think of that?
I would never, ever own that phone.
I disagree with you
I haven't
on
in
that.
the past. I've had chances to buy the premium model for more money, and I don't do it.
No, because here's what I think they're going to do. Now, this is all kind of presuming that all these tariffs take effect and Apple makes the decision to pass the tariff costs on to the customer. Okay, doesn't absorb it all, like that kind of a thing. And it's $2,300. And you walk into the Apple store and you're going to buy the iPhone 16 Pro Max for yourself. Okay. They will, I think, make a deal with you that's so sweet, and it's going to go something like this. What they do with cars, it's what they used to do with cars is you get a 3 or 4 or 5 year loan, and that was it. Well, then when new cars prices started to go higher and higher and higher, they're like, we can stretch that to
a 5-year loan,
yeah, 72, or a 6-year loan, or a 7-year loan. And if you go out and buy a boat, maybe it's changed now. You like a boat that you get a 10-year loan, maybe even longer. I mean, you're going to be up in old age by the time you pay that kind of thing off. But I think they're going to try to do this. They may try to do the same thing with iPhones, Dave. So, we can get you into that new iPhone 16 Pro Max for $40 a month, and you're going to pay on that for the next 4 years. And that's going to sound like a sweet deal to you. And because you're kind of a techie guy, you don't want to settle for that iPhone 5 anymore. You want to upgrade to that Pro Max, and they're going to sell you on that.
They are already doing this. You're right. And that has made it much easier for people to get into these phones. That being said, by far the most popular phone is the base model phone. It's the cheapest model phone, even when you're stretching it out over years on a contract.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it doesn't seem that terrible maybe as a monthly payment, I think ultimately we're looking at it and saying, I'm going to still take the base model because it is several $100s cheaper than the nicer model.
So the iPhone 16e, maybe this is what you speak of when you talk about the base model. I don't know, iPhone 16e. Well, Will they have that? Current price, $600. That would go to $856. That's still like an ouch. But do you think, like, when you look at this, when we're talking about the possibility that it could happen, do you think it will happen?
I don't. And the reason I don't think it's going to happen is because we will, if they could have charged $2,300 for an iPhone, if there was a demand for a $2,300 iPhone, they would produce a $2,300 iPhone. But there's just not the demand for it. What they found is most people want to spend somewhere between $600 and $1,000 for an iPhone, and that's the cap that they've found. You can try to charge a premium, but I think we've already shown that we won't pay a premium for iPhones. There's a few people that will pay it no matter what. They just want the best, the brightest, the greatest, the newest. But most of us go in there and we say, I'm going to buy one that affects my budget the least. And another element to this that we have to take into account is oftentimes we're not just buying an iPhone for ourselves in a vacuum. Oftentimes it's a family, right? So me, my wife, my children, everybody is going to have a phone. If I am paying this premium, well, guess what? Everybody gets a flip phone now. We've now moved from iPhones to flip phones.
I just don't see you doing that. What I do see you doing is you go out and you get the new iPhone. Maybe you pay $1,100 for it, and then you pass your old iPhone down to the next person in line. And it keeps going down to the next person in line. The next person
still
in line.
paying off.
Yeah, you're still paying off. I think that's what is going to potentially. I don't know if this is going to go, be as high as $2,300. Maybe there is a market out there for people who really like that amazing camera on it, or they like that super high speed or whatever it offers. I'm not that person. I'm the kind of person that sees prices going up, and I'm asking myself, how many decades will this iPhone that I have now last? I will run that thing into the ground before I go trade it in and spend even $1,000 on a new iPhone. Like if it's slow, let it be slow. I don't care. You know, if the camera breaks, I'll figure out. Maybe I'll go buy a Polaroid camera. You know, do I need to take photos? Like, I will negotiate this in my brain for years until I figure out I just don't really need the thing anymore. I don't need an upgrade.
I think you're the average American. I really do. I think you are most people. What you just described right there is
that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me on this show.
I think most people are going to look at that and say,
"We're average."
I'm not going to play into your game. Yeah. I'm not going to pay this crazy cost. Like, you've already stretched me, and now you've broken me. It's what the oil industry did to me. I am not green, right? I am not a person that particularly thinks about the environment or cares. I am not one of those folks. Guess what? I'm the only one in this place that has an electric vehicle, right? I mean, in the studio, between you and me, right?
Let our listeners know this. And, of course, now you have to say yes because I've kind of started down that road. But I asked you a couple weeks ago, I'm like, do you recycle? Like, I put such a premium on rinsing out the milk container or the almond milk container and putting it in the recycle bin. Like, this is my life's work.
It's what you do.
It's what I do.
Yeah. So I can breathe.
Yogurt
good air.
containers get rinsed out, you know? And I asked you in a commercial break about 2 weeks ago, I'm like, do you recycle? Like, nope. I'm like, you don't? Nope. And I went home mad at you. I literally went home. I'm like, Dave. Anyway, so to say you're not green, you're right. But maybe there's something to this holding on to our iPhones forever and ever and ever if prices do go up to be more than $2,000. So let's chat with Sloan Schrag, investigative producer. He works closely with investigative reporter Matt Gephardt and the KSL5 Television Investigative Unit. Hi, Sloan.
Well, hello, Debbie. How are you?
It's always so fun to talk to you about solutions to keeping old things around in our lives. But you guys have actually looked into, taking your iPhone in for repair when something breaks. Give us a scoop on that.
Well, yeah, replacement doesn't always have to be the first option. And Dave already mentioned the great thing is the battery. That's usually when we decide to get a new phone, when the battery can't make it through, lunch. We're like, oh, my gosh. I can't do anything. The phone is dead. I have to get a new phone. But you can take it into a repair shop. There's several around in the valley, and you can get a battery sometimes as cheap as $70. Sometimes it's a little bit more expensive, maybe $100, $120, somewhere in there. But you'll get a new battery, and the phone will come back to life in a lot of circumstances. And if it's an older phone, it might still be a little bit slow. There's some other things you can do. One of the things is that, sometimes when we have a phone for a couple of years, we clog it with photos and videos and text messages that we have taken, and we just save and we keep in there forever and ever and ever. When you clog your phone like that, you kind of slow it down. You make the CPU run a little bit faster or work harder.
It's bogged down.
Yeah. So what you can do is you can offload, just save some of that stuff in the cloud or download it to your computer, get it off your phone. Free up some of that storage space, get rid of apps that you're not using as well, and that will help your phone run a little bit faster than it has for a while.
Cracked screens, the charging port, I know that's another one that I guess I think of some of those. I'm like, oh, yeah, you can replace the screen, but I don't think often of, hey, can you replace the charging port because I've got to wiggle the cord to make sure that it's charging properly. And, yeah, and you found that as well. Like they can replace just about anything on the phone.
A lot of those parts, the microphone, maybe even a camera sensor if the camera's not working right, just depending on what the cost is. But sometimes most of those repairs are like $100 to $200. It's not really expensive. And sometimes it can be as easy. I had a Pixel that had lint that had clogged that entire charging port. Lint, pocket stuff, just filled
I've had that
completely.
You're not alone, buddy.
Yeah,
I've done the lint charging issue before.
Yeah, the cable wasn't holding into the USB charger or into the port, and I thought, oh my gosh, this phone is broken. I'm gonna have to get a new one. But I decided to clean it out one day, and it was actually disgusting. I had never seen so much lint come out of a small little charging port.
What did you do? Did you get one of those? Like, I would take it to my car wash down the street. It has one of those, like, air compressor things. Could you blow it out with that, or would I end up, like...
Well,
You used
the
a
water
paper
damage
clip,
might be
didn't
some
you?
rough. What's that?
Well,
You used a
no.
paper clip, didn't you?
No, I didn't want to shock
Did you use
the
a
metal and all that
Q-tip?
stuff.
What is going on?
I used a
Like,
toothpick.
A toothpick?
Yeah, and I
That's
just
Ew.
carved it out and grabbed it.
I'm
It was
kidding.
kind of disgusting, but it worked. The cable
That's
held on there
amazing.
and kept charging, so I didn't have to replace the phone.
How long do you keep your phone, Sloan?
I have a Pixel 7 right now. It's 2.5 years old.
Oh, okay.
I don't see any reason to replace it right now. It works fine.
Is this kind of like what you talk about with used cars, where there is a point of like no return, where you should just get a new one because it has so many things going wrong with it?
There is, and I think Dave kind of touched on that too. The software. There's a point where Apple or Samsung and Google, they won't support the software on the phone.
Oh, the updates?
The updates. And if you
Okay.
can't get updates to your phone, then it's time probably to let it go. Because it's crucial to keep your phone updated. It runs better, plus the security updates. You really need to keep those going. Otherwise, you might be a risk for hacking and such. And I think Apple is good about for 5 or 6 years, as I understand it. Samsung and Google recently pledged to keep updating their phones for 7 years after purchase.
That's another element that I don't often think about is the extended warranty, or making sure that it stretches out. We invest $1,200 in a phone, but we won't throw the extra $150 on the warranty because we're like that's too much.
Yeah. Well, I haven't looked into the warranty, but I know there's Apple Care, and if you have Apple Care, you can get a battery replaced fairly easily with that too. So it's something to consider.
Wow, Sloan, great tips as always. Sloan Schrag, KSL5 investigative producer, works with Matt Gephardt. Tell the investigative team hi for us, and we always appreciate you guys joining us and bringing us these great tips. Be a lot cheaper. Be a lot cheaper than purchasing even a phone at today's prices. If you're paying $1,100, like Dave, you would have been out of pocket for the phone you bought had to pay full price. If it's $100 battery and a toothpick.
Clear that lint out.
Clear that lint out.
It sounds so. Why am I grossed out by that?
Deb, I guarantee you grab a toothpick into your phone, you're like, I did not realize I'd have like mints crushed up in my charging port.
Dave and I have been talking this morning about several articles coming out about Apple products, particularly the iPhone. It could go as much as $2,300. It's we don't know for sure, but I think it's worth talking about given that these new tariffs are taking effect that the Trump administration has put into place. The really spectacular, super duper amazing iPhone 16 Pro Max, right about $1,600 now, could increase to $2,300. I've got some text messages here, Dave. I want to bounce these off you. Can we go for that, or
I
you
love
have something
these.
else
These
you
are
want to add
great.
to
No.
that? So this listener says about a year ago, they replaced their broken iPhone with a refurbished iPhone XR for under $250. And then they have a prepaid phone plan for seniors, which is great, 61 years old. I love that you look into this kind of stuff because I think this is huge. The prepaid phone plan costs $16, and I guess up to $32 a month, depending on data usage. Wow. So people are looking for solutions already. I mean, probably even before they knew about these tariffs.
And oftentimes, if you're buying one of these older phones, the iPhone XR, for example, this is 6 years old, there are still new iPhone XRs. They're not all used.
Really?
Because they obviously, they don't sell them completely out. And oftentimes you can find these and they work fine.
Sloan, has the I-Team, I think you and I have actually worked on stories when I was with the I-Team about like buying iPhones off of, ads and everything. What are some of the tips for that to make sure you're not getting something that's a counterfeit iPhone?
Well, I would stick with like a reputable website. There are a few, Swappa, a couple other ones that are known for selling phones. That will give you, some will include like a warranty, like a 90-day warranty. You buy it from the website, you get it, it comes to you, and it doesn't work out of the box, you can send it back. So look for guarantees of that sort if you're looking to buy a used phone.
I think that's a good tip. I'm trying to flash back. I mean, that was probably 10, 15 years ago. Some time ago that I remember going over here down the street and buying an iPhone out of the back of some guy's trunk, and he had a whole Davey open up the trunk. There was like a whole bunch of iPhones, and they were counterfeit.
Not shady at all.
I know.
Shady at
I
all.
think they were $100. That was another thing that was a red flag. If the price is way too good to be true, that's because the iPhone is fake. That's what we learned. Here's another text at 57500. Listener says they told their kids that as they move out of the house, they can stick to their phone plan. So, mom, dad, whatever, they can stick on their phone plan. However, if they need a new phone, they have to pay for it themselves. This sounds like it's right up your alley, Dave.
Sounds like it's my wife that texted in because that's exactly the Noriega plan.
Yeah. So how long are you willing to hold on to your iPhone?
I will hold on to it until I need a software update. I mean, until it will no longer. So it will be years because I had such a great experience holding on to my last iPhone for so much longer than I expected. I expected to keep it for a couple years and then update it, but I kept it for almost 6 years. And it was shocking to me how easy it was. It really didn't change my life. And when I got the brand new iPhone 16 Pro Max, Excelsior or whatever, I was surprised of how little of an upgrade it was. I mean, the phone was better. It was bigger. The camera was moderately better, but it wasn't like, my life has now changed because I've raised Excalibur. No, it's not like that. So I'm going to hang on to this bad boy until I'm sure I drop it down the stairs.
All right, this one is for all my neighbors in South Jordan. Salt Lake Bees have a new home. Today is opening day at the new Bees Stadium in Daybreak. Yes, I cannot wait. Caitlin, the mayor? Caitlin's got the mayor of South Jordan calling the show next. She's lined up the mayor. Can't wait to talk to her about opening day, what it's going to look like. And Dave, you were wondering what is going on around that new stadium.
That's my hope because I saw what happened downtown with, I love the Bees, I love the baseball, but I think that we didn't build around this stadium enough. There weren't enough places to go eat and walk to the ball game afterwards. There was a bar. I couldn't take my kids.
It was Lucky 13, and they get great hamburgers. But
fantastic.
You're right.
Not great for an 8-year-old.
You can't. No, you absolutely can't. And our hope, I guess our hope is, or your hope is that they really build up this with like family-friendly type of restaurants out there.
That's exactly what I'm looking for because I love baseball. I think it's a great family environment, but I'm going to have to see what does the surrounding area bring to me.
Jeff Kaplan. When I was a kid, my parents got me a subscription to Newsweek magazine. I would devour every page into the night. And to this day, I sit on my iPad looking for stories for my Minute of News, flesh out our coverage, and I get to share the news with you.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
One of the great things about Renaissance Ranch is they realized early on, and this was backed by research, if you have a family member that is struggling with addiction and you want to help them get through and over this addiction, get the entire family involved. Get the loved ones together, build that support system, and Renaissance Ranch has some great resources to be able to do that very thing.
Yeah, and they're free. It's just a phenomenal opportunity to take one of their free online classes, and they're open to the public. And when we say they're open to the public, that means anybody. You don't have to just have a family member enrolled in the program. Maybe you have a family member who's going through addiction, and you feel like you're losing yourself, trying to save your family member. Don't let that happen. Join these free online, essentially like Zoom meetings that they offer throughout the day.
Yeah, they have some for lunch, after dinner. You can join these classes. Again, there's so many different. You will find something that applies to your situation. There's classes for spouses, for parents. There's a women's support group. There's a couples recovery group.
Yeah, they're faith-based, clinically proven for more than 20 years.
Check out more of these free online classes at renaissanceranch.com.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information information by dialing 800-810-3588. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-810-3588. 800-810-3588. 800-810-3588.
Do you need new windows? Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Harbor Freight knows time is money. So for our Spring Black Friday sale, we're getting straight to the deals. This weekend, you get 35% off jack stands, 56-inch roll cabs under $800, and 2,300 PSI electric pressure washers under $190. See? Straight to the point. So you can get straight to the savings. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until April 13th, 2025 while supplies last. Limitations apply.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott, KSL's top story this hour. And it is breaking news. 3 Americans are coming back to the U.S. to serve a life sentence for participating in a coup attempt in Congo. 2 of those men are 21-year-olds from Utah who have been detained in Congo since the attempt last year. The men were originally sentenced to death for the coup, but were granted clemency last week, and they've now been sentenced to life in prison instead. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Weather warnings may not be heard by as many people because of a change at the National Weather Service.
The National Weather Service stopped using humans to translate messages in 2023. It contracted with an artificial intelligence company that provided translations in Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, French, and Samoan. But that contract has lapsed, according to a National Weather Service spokesman who says the translations are paused. Experts say not only is this dangerous in severe weather situations, but could have a detrimental effect on everyday life for non-English speakers. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 20 points, the S&P is down 22. And coming up, sunny skies and 70s. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
One of the best things about Salt Lake City fat loss, it works. I could not believe how effective Salt Lake City fat loss program was. They told me early on, they said, we have the secret to losing a pound of fat per day on this program. And I thought there's just no way. But sure enough, many people will lose 20, 30 pounds in just a month or two. I saw even better results, 57 pounds in 60 days. And that's the key right there. There's a 60-day reduction phase. And then after that reduction phase, you don't have to say goodbye to cookies forever. They just help you walk through and learn, okay, well, what's a reasonable amount of cookies? And that was something that I had forgotten in my life, is the reasonable amount of cookies to be eaten. But sure enough, Salt Lake City fat loss was great for me. I loved seeing the results and feeling so much better. If you're interested, you're going to get an extra $200 off the program right now. There's a little spring sale going on. Make sure you reach out to them by their website, slcfatloss.com. That's the best way to get a hold of them. Just visit slcfatloss.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Heather Kelly.
We've got good speeds right now all across the Wasatch Front, especially if you're on the freeways like I-15, the east and west side belt routes, the 201 freeway. We're also accident-free, so no issues there. Now, if you do see something on the roads, you need to give us a text at Mountain Home Services text line 57500 to let us know about it. But right now, if you're out on the roads, city streets, freeways, everything's looking good. Water belongs in pipes, not in your yard or on your floor. Call Utah Utility Pro, your leak detection and repair specialist. Water, sewer, main, and gas lines. Utah Utility Pro, utahutilitypro.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 67 today with partly cloudy skies. After that, the sun is out and temperatures rise into the 70s with 78 on Thursday and 81 forecasted on Friday. Right now it is 63 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Who picked this version?
Oh, the organ. The old baseball organ.
I wanted the Frank Layton version.
A one. A two.
Sing it, Dave. So I'm super excited because this is in my neighborhood, and I think a lot of my neighbors are pretty excited, I think. It may take some of the folks to get to the point where they're excited about it, but Bee's home opener out in South Jordan and Daybreak happens today. Look, I'll be perfectly transparent. I'm thrilled. Not saying everybody's going to be thrilled, but I love baseball. I love having this stadium be walkable from my home.
This is a massive change.
Yeah.
Downtown baseball has been the thing. Minor league baseball, downtown.
Forever.
The old Dirks Field. I mean, we have enjoyed downtown baseball for a long time. It will be very interesting to me to see if folks are willing to drive an additional 20, maybe even 30 minutes to go to South Jordan to the new games.
Okay, but let me just remind you, I drove for years from the south end of the valley. I lived in Conwood Heights, now live in South Jordan, to come to watch Bees baseball on 13 South and Main Street. For years and years I did that and loved it. You know, oftentimes I would do it alone, because that's how much I love just hanging out at a baseball game. It's also great people not asking you what a foul ball is and that kind of thing when you bring your friends.
Just going solo.
Just going solo. But you had some questions about what this is going to look like for families once everything kind of gets up and running.
This was one of my frustrations about the old Bees ballpark at Smith's. And it's a beautiful stadium, one of the most beautiful stadiums in the entire country for minor league baseball. Unbelievable backdrop with the mountains, and it was old school, the brick. It was beautiful, and I love it, and I'm nostalgic about it. The problem I had with downtown baseball was it was a little bit of a shady area. There were some real crime issues, and there weren't enough restaurants. There weren't enough things to do before the game if you wanted to go down and enjoy the surroundings and then go to the ball game. That was problematic, and it wasn't something where I felt, hey, we can just hang around the ballpark and then once the game starts we go in, because I felt like there was a safety issue.
Let's bring on the mayor of South Jordan. Hi, Mayor.
Hi, how are you?
Mayor Don Ramsey. So happy to be talking about something positive today. And I think baseball I love it. It's awesome. It gets families out. It gets us together, to watch baseball. So talk about what the stadium looks like and what it's going to look like around the stadium once things get up and running. Like, will there be restaurants for Dave to take his kids?
Well, thank you. Hey, first, Debbie, you're not the only one who's excited. I'm so glad to hear that you are. So here's a little fact for you. The first game single ticket sales last year were at 900. This year, 3,000 first game single ticket sales happened. People are excited. It's sold out. The ballpark is incredible. It's beautiful. And the views are still beautiful. Dave, I promise you, the views are still spectacular.
Yeah.
That's one thing they've worked very hard to preserve.
Mayor, I did notice it seemed like,
the
Mayor, I just wanted to tell you, maybe you can confirm this. When I drove by it the other day, it looked like home plate was kind of facing in the same direction that home plate was facing down here at the Bees Ballpark in Salt Lake City. So the view of the mountains is spectacular.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yes, you are correct. And it really is. And, when you asked about Dave bringing his family, Dave, you mentioned, are people going to be willing to drive? My hope is that they don't all drive 20 to 30 extra minutes. I hope that they will take tracks and hop on the red line and bring public transit out, because we worked really hard with UTA to put a new track stop in. It's the South Jordan downtown track stop that walks right out onto the plaza into the ballpark. It is so easy to get here if you take the red line. We don't think everyone's going to need to bring their cars. We're working hard to create a lot of access for folks to come and visit the park. The amenities around it are going to be fantastic. Now, you'll see signs from the Larry H. Miller Company that say, please pardon our dust, as the plaza around the ballpark continues to build out. But we've got beautiful, safe walking routes for everyone to arrive. The ballpark is finished, and I think people are in for a treat. I've been there all morning, and it really is so nice. This is a family-friendly, America's pastime. Come and get your hot dog and whatever you like to drink with that. They are ready.
Mayor Ramsey, you got me so excited. You've got me in. I'm excited about this. I also think being located in South Jordan is interesting because I think it connects Utah County a little bit more than perhaps the downtown baseball.
I think that's true. I think it is more centrally located for folks that are coming up, but I know it's a greater distance for people who are in maybe Davis or Weber County. This is a privately owned enterprise, private company, privately owned ballpark. No public dollars went into building this ballpark, but I know they did a lot of market research to understand where their ticket sales come mostly from as they were working on what their best plan was. This really is accessible for people from the north and the south, and there's been a lot of partnership and work to try to make that happen. So we hope you'll come check it out. There's so many great things going to happen in that entire America First Square around the ballpark this year. We'll cut a lot of ribbons and open a lot of businesses, but the plaza will have ice skating and a summer concert series and a playground and restaurants and places to shop. It's beautiful.
Are the restaurants opening tonight, some of them, or is this something that's going to happen later in the season or next season, Mayor?
Great question. They aren't open tonight. There is a list of dates that have been put out there for the tentative opening dates. The Megaplex Family Entertainment Center is due to open this summer. There's different dates all throughout this year that restaurants will open, the Family Entertainment Center, different elements along the plaza that will open. And then we'll break ground in partnership with Salt Lake County, break ground next January on the new Performing Arts Center.
Mayor, I'm trying to clear out my ears right here. Did you say there was ice skating?
There will be. It'll be open next November, right there on the plaza, right outside the ballpark. Dave, trust me. Give us a chance. I know there are people who don't even want to like this, but they're going to like it.
We're going to win you over. So help us, we're going to win you over. Well,
Mayor, so tonight you said the opening day for the Bees is sold out of there in this new South Jordan ballpark, right?
It is. It is.
But what about the rest of the week?
They're here for the next 5 days. It's a 5-day run at home, and then they'll be back on the road, and then they'll be back. There's 75 games this summer and a lot of additional activities. This will have year-round programming. And the Larry H. Miller Company and the Bees organization has worked really hard. The city's worked hard, and all of our partners, UDOT and UTA, to get so many things ready. It will be a safe experience, a beautiful family-friendly experience, and we just welcome you and look forward to having you come and play baseball and enjoy a summer night and let all your cares go and just enjoy what we love best about our community and where we live.
Game on.
Yeah, bingo.
Very excited. Thank you so much for joining us, South Jordan Mayor Dawn Ramsey.
I love the distraction from like everyday issues that baseball brings. I went to a game when I was in Phoenix last week, and I watched the Diamondbacks lose to, I think it was the Mets. Would that make sense? Yeah. It's so crazy. Like, you don't even know. It's like you're just there to have fun with your family. You can forget every care. You're there to watch your team win, or a great catch in the, over the fence catch in the outfield, or whatever it is. I'm so happy that this is walkable. And I've invited you and your family. Please come park your car in my garage.
Now we're
I will only charge you a small fee.
It's supposed to be tracks, Deb. Did you not hear Mayor Ramsey?
Well,
She's like, all tracks.
If you take tracks, I got to meet you at the ballpark, because tracks is, while it's super convenient where I live, I have to drive. It's about a mile and a half. But you can come park it in my garage, Dave. We can squeeze that tiny smart car of yours right in the garage, and we can walk over to the ball field together. I'm super excited about this. I know everybody's got a different opinion about it, and I appreciate it. But let's see how it goes.
It's a done deal now.
I know, like she said.
There's no going
like the
back.
mayor said, there will be something that everybody will like about it out there. Can't wait to see what the future holds. Well, we're going to take live calls. Our producer is calling for live calls on this. Dave wondered. I think you did wonder this, right? I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
Will you actually drive out to Daybreak, out to South Jordan? Very west of I-15, by the way. Not too far off of Bangerter. Would you drive to Daybreak to watch AAA ball, to watch the Bees play? Let's take live calls. Are you excited about this? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Slalom is a business and technology consulting firm with 52 offices in 12 countries. Founded in 2001, Slalom opened their Salt Lake City office in 2020 and is proud to have served Utah for the past 5 years. Director of Sales Brian Ware joins us with more.
Every day, Slalom works at the forefront of industry, combining our deep roots in technology and data to help our customers tackle challenges, improve operations, and drive sustainable growth. We make it a point to understand our customers' culture, goals, organization, and their customers, and work with them as a trusted advisor, respectful challenger, and unwavering champion. For more than 20 years, we've sought out and made strategic investments in the world's emerging and leading technology platforms, including Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Salesforce, Snowflake, and more. Our relationships with these innovators is built on mutual trust and respect, and has cemented our position as a premier and often first partner of choice. At Slalom, we bring more day one advantages, more connections and breakthroughs, more doing the right thing, and more return on your investment, so that together we can dream bigger, move faster, and build better tomorrows for all.
Slalom is trusted by leaders across the majority of the Global 1000, many of the world's most successful enterprise, mid-market, and emerging companies, and more than 500 high-impact public sector agencies, foundations, and universities. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Are you looking to find more fairways, hit more greens, and lower your scores? Then a custom golf club fitting from a Shields certified master fitter is your answer. Learning from the world's top fitters at Titleist Performance Institute, Callaway Performance Center, and the Ping Proving Grounds, we're equipped to fit you with the right clubs to make your game more consistent. Go to shields.com/expert fitting to schedule a custom fitting today.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Dave and Dujanovic.
We'll be playing ball for the first time out at the new field in Daybreak tonight. The Bees found a new home. The stadium is built, and opening night starts, it's tonight already. I cannot believe we are already here. I'm super excited. It's not very far from where I live, so if you see me hanging out at the new Bees ballpark out in South Jordan all summer long, you know why. I can walk to the ballpark, and I also love baseball. But the question that Dave wondered is, are you willing to take the drive out there? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Let's take your live calls.
And there was an argument that you weren't willing to drive downtown. I can't tell you how many Bees games I went to, and it was sparse, and people weren't showing up. And in part, I think that's what led to this move, is there wasn't enough support downtown to force the Bees to stay downtown. So when you start looking down in South Jordan, they're going to build a brand new facility, a beautiful stadium, and we're going to lure you down there. You can see why. And I love baseball, and I love the Bees, and I love going to these games, but there were some serious problems with the Bees playing downtown in that old ballpark.
And the mayor of South Jordan, Dawn Ramsey, just joined the show, and she alluded to that, Dave, but just by, ticket sales showing that, opening day out in South Jordan is sold out. And she compared it to opening day at, the downtown field last year.
So here's a little fact for you. The first game single ticket sales last year were at 900. This year, 3,000 first game single ticket sales happened. People are excited. It's sold out. The ballpark is incredible. It's beautiful. And the views are still beautiful. Dave, I promise you, the views are still spectacular.
And I hope it works, because I want it all to work. But there was a real danger here, Debbie, when the Bees decided to pack up and move, that we were going to lose downtown. The downtown was going to be a ghost town. And let me tell you why. Not just because minor or AAA baseball was leaving, but when Ryan Smith purchased the Utah Hockey Club, and they started looking at where we're going to locate, and they started looking at the south end of the valley, perhaps in Draper, and then are they going to take the Jazz from downtown? We were it almost feels like a heartbeat away of losing the Jazz, the Hockey Club, and the Bees from downtown Salt Lake. And if that happens, if you lose those three major franchises, then where does that leave downtown Salt Lake? That's the real concern. And I think it's exciting to see the investments that are happening downtown, but in part it explains why the city council, the Salt Lake City Council, the mayor, and everybody were so aggressive in renovating the Delta Center, keeping hockey here, because we were very close, I think, to losing all the sports to South Salt Lake.
We're taking your calls. Will you make the trek out to South Jordan to watch the Bees play in Daybreak in their new home? Steve, you live in Sandy. I don't know if this counts. You're not very far from South Jordan, but it sounds like you're going to the game, one of the games this week.
Yeah, Thursday night.
Nice.
I love baseball. I love going out there. I love going to Smith Ballpark. I took my kids there when they were little. Somehow my boys became hockey fans, and they're super, super happy right now.
I bet.
But I want to see Major League team come here.
I know. I can't argue with that. What does Dave know about this?
It looks promising. It doesn't look certain, but my opinion is it looks promising. The more we start learning about Major League Baseball, the direction they are headed with expansion, the ducks are in a row. We just need to get it across the finish line, and obviously there's still a lot of years. They expect, the commissioner of baseball said, don't expect any expansion talk until probably 2030. So we're still 5 years away from Major League Baseball even considering that. So hopefully it moves faster than that, but I'm with you. Major League Baseball, that's the goal.
And if you're new to town, maybe you don't know this, but we have been covering extensively for the better part of a year now, the commitment to build a new Major League Baseball stadium near downtown Salt Lake City on the west side, in an area of North Temple, which was one of the kind of major streets through downtown, and like Redwood Road-ish, kind of by the Fair Park there. You know, Dave and I we did a show out there. We've covered that extensively. But, of course, we need a baseball team to put in that stadium. I mean, just to make, the whole thing complete. You were looking up ticket prices for the Bees baseball games this week, Dave. And the mayor said that tonight is sold out. But you found some – are you all right over there?
Doing good.
Do I need to call in? Do I need to call in a little help?
Bring in the righty reliever.
You got some Diet Coke in that 5-gallon container there? Okay, you're all right? I know. I've had that before. Usually when I eat a carrot or an almond.
Yeah.
It just gets run. So what are the prices on tickets? Did you find some resale tickets for tonight?
Yeah, they're all resale tickets at this point. Yeah, they're sold out. So if you want to go tonight, opening night of the new stadium, it's going to cost you about $40. You can go higher than that, but the lowest price about $40.
Is that a grass seat? Do you know?
Yeah, there's some grass seats. There's some a little deeper along the lines. There's a batter's eye, so that unlike the Smith's ballpark, they don't have that berm that goes all the way around. There's some seating. There's bullpens. It's a cool design, but yeah, you can get a cheap ticket for about $40.
What about like if I wanted to go when Steve's going?
On
like
Thursday
or whatever, tomorrow night, for example.
So they still have a lawn area. It's kind of standing room only, and you can get something like that for $14, $15, $16. The lawn has some of those cheap seats, $30 if you want to be sitting down somewhere. So, you have the lawn seats and somewhere between $15 and $30.
The mayor said highly recommended the best way to get there if you do plan on making the journey out to the new Daybreak ballpark where the Bees are going to be playing is to take tracks.
You mentioned, are people going to be willing to drive? My hope is that they don't all drive 20 to 30 extra minutes. I hope that they will take tracks and hop on the red line and bring public transit out, because we worked really hard with UTA to put a new track stop in. It's the South Jordan downtown track stop that walks right out onto the plaza.
This listener on our text line said they won't drive out there because Mountain View Corridor is going to be a mess. So this is right off of Mountain View Corridor in that area. And I will say, take tracks. Take tracks, because the mayor said it'll let you off right there. And then you just hop back on the train and take it back home. So if you can, I think that's a great piece of advice.
One of the things I forgot to ask, and we'll have to look into this, but sometimes when you have concert tickets or sporting event tickets, that the tracks will be free during that time. We'll look into that and see if that's the case. Otherwise, it's a couple bucks per person. Maybe $5 round trip to jump on tracks and get out there.
Yeah, I took tracks from Daybreak several times in the evening or late afternoon to come down to, the Bee Stadium downtown, Smith's Ballpark. And it was slick. It was really slick. And, back then, not a lot of people on it. We don't know if it's sold out. And there's probably going to be more people on tracks going out to Daybreak. But go Bees.
Looks like about 30 minutes from the ballpark station to Daybreak. It's about 30 minutes on tracks. So not terrible.
Straight ahead, Maria Chaleos has an update for us on the United States Supreme Court reversing a decision